Well, hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's brand new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. And of course, I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And not only do we have several, but one ginormous Xbox topic to break down. As a matter of fact, we can start by saying that Microsoft, more so Phil Spencer, literally stopped the world on its axis Friday afternoon, or Friday morning, I should say, when he dropped one of the biggest megaton bombs in Game Pass history. That's right, folks. A Sony developed title, a first party Sony game, is coming to Game Pass day and date. And what's even more insane is that the $70 edition, that's right, the next gen Series X and Series S editions are going to be available in Game Pass on April 20th for the price of your, well, free for me because I'm paid up until 2022, or your $15 a month. And of course, if you are a Sony player, well, that is where we're going to get into the weeds of the conversation, because Sony players, which we have heard that Sony is for their players, is charging them $75+ to get involved with the next gen version of MLB The Show, which was exclusive up until last year. And as you can see, I got some Outrider gameplay, 2+ hours of Outriders that I've been playing. And quite frankly, I am over 30 hours in, loving it. And I'm actually kind of mad at myself. My outfit now looks very cheesy, and I had a dope outfit before, but of course I had to level it up, and it kind of looks like a thrift store outfit. I'm not happy about it, but let's get into the introductions, because we have someone making his grandest return. As a matter of fact, it's his first episode of 2021. You know him as the powerful voice of the Iron Lords podcast, my brother, Ninja Master himself, Lord Cognito.
Yo, boom. What is going on? I'm back on prime time. It feels good. Normally, my schedule is always kind of opposite yours, so I don't get a chance to podcast much with you like I used to. But when I had the time off, man, I'm like, look, we got to do it. We got to book it in. You threw the bat signal up. I'm here. Got a fantastic panel. We got my boy Everborn, Cyber, Mag, and of course, Clowns, and hopefully Forte later. So it's going to be good. We got some great topics. I'm excited, man. Boom. Thank you for the invite, brother. It's good to be back.
Well, you know what? I'm actually very happy. You didn't get a chance to do your regular ILP on Sunday because you're doing that tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes. And you know what? Selfishly enough, I'm happy because that means you get to break down all of your very petty opinions live on this show, talking about Sony. And we're going to talk about Sony in a big, big way. But let's continue with the introductions. Next up, you know him as someone that maybe has made his rounds in this realm. You know him as the Everborn Saga artist, father, anime fan, gaming fan. Well, Everborn, welcome to the program there, brother. How you feeling?
All right. So rare air. We got Lord Cognito here. Very, very, very exciting times. I just can't wait to get into these topics. But again, I think this is my first show since the Kickstarter completed, and two of the people that have some of the biggest responsibility towards getting the word out, you, Boom, and Cog. Like, I really want to thank you guys. It's in no small part thanks to the microphone you guys have given me to get the word out there about Everborn. And I'm seeing people, you got to understand, I'm seeing people share the books out and seeing people talk about it, and it makes it all feel like it was worth it. And you guys played a part in that. So thank you. And it's very cool that you guys are on here. And I think my first appearance on Primetime Gaming, Cog, you
yes. Yes, that is right. That is correct.
Look at
Happy to
that.
see you, brother. Happy to see you.
Well, listen, it's great to have you back here. And listen, the helping you is literally the least we could have done. It's something I strive to do, regardless of how big or small I'm ever going to be. Helping others is what this channel was built on. And before we continue with the introductions, Geezer Prime has become Here Comes the Boom channel member. Hey, Geezer, thanks so much for not only being here, brother, but thank you for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. Definitely appreciate that. But let's continue with the introductions. Next up, you know him as the loudest voice of the Canadian region. In fact, he is responsible solely for 2 avalanches, but I didn't tell you that. Please welcome the middle-aged gamer guy.
Good evening, Boom. Good evening, chat and panel. And of course, our illustrious guest, the Lord Cognito himself. It is always exciting to do a podcast with any member of the ILP. And guys, always check out their shows. It'll be tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time instead of Sunday, of course, right? So it's going to throw off my breakfast schedule, but that's fine. But anyhow, guys, we have a great show. I'm not going to lie to you. I am aggressive today. I missed last Monday. I am full of piss and vinegar, and I am ready to talk about these topics. Let's get right into it.
Well, yeah. We're all, I think we're all fired up for a lot of good reasons. A lot of big questions about what's going on with Sony. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the Japan studios mass exodus that has gone on since the restructure was announced. Some of the biggest talent that brought you games like Bloodborne have left the studio. And, obviously we have heard that they have left on good terms, but in that region of the world, they are very heavy on honor. So even if there was a problem, it's highly unlikely they would publicly talk about it. And of course, you have to respect that. But there is something going on with Sony. And right now, even the diehard fans of the brand are asking the big questions, and we're going to be answering those for you live on the air tonight. But let's continue with the introductions. Next up, he literally just landed. His family is just getting settled in. He's making his return. You know him, the man from Connecticut, my brother, Cybernox. Welcome back, brother.
Man, does it feel good to be back up here? And tonight's show is about to be fire, man. It feels good to get back today for some prime time. We got Lord Cognito himself. We got royalty in the building. That's right. I'm ready for it. We got clowns. We got Mag. We got you. Boom. We got the Renaissance man, Everborn, the man who's got multi-talents. We're ready for the show, man. We're just missing Tempest, but let's go.
Yeah, well, Tempest unfortunately had to step aside because work called his name. He will be back next week. But, actually stepping in for him is someone that I think you might know. He's been on this show. He helped build this show from the ground up. That's right. Gaming Forte will be making his triumphant return later on. He should be here hopefully around 8:30-ish. He's getting out of work, but of course can't wait to hear what he has to say on this whole thing. But last and no way least, someone that's been making the rounds, really, really shining a spotlight on Four Guys with Quarters, getting those massive interviews. Please welcome back the Italian Clowns.
Hey, what's up, man? Just want to make sure that my TV is low enough now, but I want to, thank you for letting me be here every week. Boom. It's always fantastic. And yeah, excited to get into these topics tonight, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, what you've been doing with Four Guys with Quarters since you basically took it and put it on your back and you've been carrying it is been nothing short of amazing.
Facts.
Some of the guests that you've been getting on there are really awe-inspiring. And if you're not subscribed to Four Guys with Quarters, then I don't even know why you're listening to this show, to be honest, because quite frankly, the work that Clowns and many people that we podcast with have been helping him with the channel, and some of the interviews, my God, they've been really incredible, especially, and he doesn't just focus on gaming, folks. It's comics, it's movies, it's voice actors, it's everything. And I think there's something for you and your liking, no matter what you like to listen to. But listen, folks, we are here. It is already 9 minutes past the hour. Introductions done. It's time to roll up the sleeves, and it's time to start asking what the hell is going on with Sony. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, this isn't going to be a hit piece. We're not going to be poking fun at Jim Ryan and saying that he's been making all kinds of errors. No, we're going to be breaking down facts. And to open up the show, I want to talk about PlayStation's Japan Studios restructuring. This has been a particular topic that both is concerning and also a bit of a head scratcher when you start talking about the regular gaming media. Now, depending on who you ask, and Cog, I'm going to go to you first on this. This studio is responsible for games like The Last Guardian, Bloodborne, and the recently released and highly reviewed Demon Souls on the PlayStation 5, plus many others.
Right.
And as of this week, the restructuring has begun. But after the news of the restructuring, Cog, we saw massive people leave the studio. Masaki Yamagawa, Ryu Sogabi, two of the biggest influences in that studio that were responsible for development of Bloodborne. They announced they were leaving, but that wasn't it. They had people that were involved in Silent Hill and Gravity Rush. It was the director Kichiro Toyama and the Demon Souls producer Teriyaki Toriyama, and Gravity Rush's character designer, Sansuke Sato. I mean, listen, I don't know these people as well as, let's say, some diehard Sony fans are.
Right.
But this is bad news for Sony. I mean, I think what's really... I think it's turning into a powder keg. And I say that not because Sony's going to die off or the PlayStation 5 lost a generation. No one is even suggesting that.
Right.
But you have to admit, you pack this with what's going on with the Xbox Game Pass topic that we're going to talk on the second half of the show. And you talk about the 2,000 digital games that are being taken off the store in your PlayStation 3, your PSP, and your PlayStation Vita. And you're talking about 3 back-to-back-to-back situations that are it's egg on the face of Sony. And as we know, and you've been covering them for a while, their image has been flawless for years. And it seems like at least until the half of 2020, moving forward, they've been dropping the ball. What is going on with Japan Studios, and how could they restructure and close one of their biggest and most revered studios by the fan base?
Yeah, boom. This is a big one. I saw this up when you had it in the notes, and it definitely is something I've been paying attention to. And to me, it's just, I think overall, I get the restructuring, reorganization on a corporate level kind of vibe. And, since Jim Ryan has kind of taken the reins and it's become his own, so to speak, we've started to see these things. And, for me personally, it's a bit sad, a little emotional, because, the Sony I like, from PlayStation 1, I was a big PlayStation 1 supporter. When they got into the game, they kind of separated from Nintendo as this kind of like aggressive, new upstart company. Nintendo didn't want to do this, I guess, the CD console deal with them or what have you. And then they kind of did things on their own and became the PlayStation that we eventually know today. So for me, it's one of those things where it's like, the uniqueness of Sony has always been that Japanese studio, getting those unique style of games that you not necessarily get anywhere else. So these games have a lineage, they have a history, and it is sad when I hear that these things are closing, there's this restructuring. But to me, there was something at the start of the launch of the PS5 that not a lot of people talked about that I thought was very significant. And if you remember, Boom and Everborn, from New York back in the day, like we would get the import Sony consoles.
Oh my God, dude! Like crazy, like clockwork.
Right. So we would get those consoles, and I remember. Let me rephrase. King would get those consoles, and I'd be there to mooch and play for free. So what would happen is when he'd get the Japanese release of the PlayStation 2, whatever, usually a year before American release. If anybody knows about imports, you remember the circle and cross are very significant for Japan. So basically what it is in America, we press X to confirm selection.
Correct.
In Japan, it is the opposite. It is a very traditional thing. This is going on for years.
I know where you're going with this.
It's a cultural thing.
Yes.
So when Jim Ryan kind of took over, and I saw the PlayStation 5 not adopt this, and I saw a tremendous backlash. To
Of course
me,
there was. Yes.
that signified the change in philosophy. Now it's two thoughts here. It's tradition versus, I guess, the corporate aspect of what's actually viable. And the vibe I'm getting, again, I don't have any insiders here. I'm just going by what I see and what I hear. From what I see, the vibe is Europe is the focus. Europe had a very strong play in the success of the PlayStation 4, right? So it seems that resource-wise, that's where they're seeming to focus. They're seeming to pull out of Japan, it seems, and you're starting to see with the studio. So are they going away completely?
Hey,
But,
Cog,
yeah, go ahead,
Cog, I don't mean to cut you off, but
yeah, go for
can you remind everybody where Dan Smooths is from?
it. Isn't he from there? I believe too.
He is from Europe, and he was responsible for getting this the PlayStation to win over Xbox almost 5-1.
Right.
Even during the PS3 era, if I'm remembering correctly, PS3 was still doing really well in Europe.
Yes.
And then while he was in charge of Sony, just Sony Europe over there. So
exactly
when he was there, and over here in the States, 360 was taking over, while over there, still in Europe, the PS3 was still dominating. He was looking at it to the big boss is like, hey, I'm still doing my thing over here. What's going on over there?
You on the same type of time, because the vibe I'm getting, and it's a tough argument, because as a traditionalist, as a person who loves Sony, it hurts to see what's happening. As a person who understands business, this could be his play, and the reason why he has risen to the top, because he could sit there and go to brass and say, look, my division is responsible for this dominant success you had last generation. And maybe that, shout out to the cars going by, maybe that would be a play as to why we all know the Layden situation looked a little funny style on the way him going out. Generally when most former leaders leave, there's a statement, it almost feels like he's under NDA, or there's some type of unhappiness there, because he has gone pretty much quiet since he's left, and now Ryan is in charge. So that's what this thing looks like to me. I have a little concern, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously they're putting their ducks in a row on this. And to me, it's kind of unnecessarily taking away something that they kind of had a strength in. So I don't know, man. The result is going to be, we're going to have to see how the gen plays out to see if this is the right tactic. Obviously, last generation, it was. So we'll see. But that's pretty much my thoughts on it. It's definitely philosophy to me, restructure, reorganization on a corporate level as to where they seem they want to go.
Yeah, you know what? And we're going to come back around, because this isn't the only cluster F, if you will. We have devs actually going public and talking about. I was working on Vita games, and I was so I had to find out about the closure of these of the store from the news. That's not a good sign. That's definitely not a good.
Quick question, Boom. You getting into that next topic or this topic?
Yes.
As well?
Yeah, the next topic. Yeah, we're gonna come back around to that, because it's just so big that you can't just spearhead into it. Before we get into the rest of the panel, I have to thank a couple of people. First of all, the super chats have been coming in and in abundance. I want to thank 108's Dragon TV for the outstanding $5 super chat, and he says this in all caps: what's good, panel? Sony is going to have to respond to what Game Pass is doing, and they will have to provide way better services to the PS community. Facts. Yeah, you know what? There's no doubt about that. And we're going to talk about what they're going to do. Gerald Mack, good friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $10 and says, shout out to Primetime Gaming. Where the Lords go, I follow. Shout out to Lord Cognito. Reached out to Lord Sovereign to he took care of me. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the shout out to Mr. Boomstick and panel. Great show. Let's get it. Well, Gerald, thanks so much for being here, brother, and thank you for the generosity. We have a new channel member, the Arnie F. becomes a channel member. Welcome to Here Comes the Boom. Thanks a lot for that, brother. Super appreciate it. And we have a super chat that came in from a generous friend of the show. I think you might have seen him on Iron Lords in the chat, hanging out. Eagles fan 76 drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, I put a tweet out We need to give Sarah Bond some credit. She is the one Phil chose to be in charge of Game Pass and is coming in hot. Salute to the pound. Yes, as a matter of fact, you know what? Tomorrow afternoon at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Pong Soul and myself are going to be talking about some big topics that include what Sarah Bond has been doing with Xbox Game Pass. And yes, she should get credit because, my God, I can actually see her taking over as head of Xbox, maybe when Phil decides to hang up those cleats. Who knows when that's going to be? But we're going to be talking about that. And yes, we'll also be talking about the Phil Spencer celebrating his 7th anniversary as head of Xbox and what he's done up until now and what he's going to do in the next 7 years. So tune in tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're actually trying to find a third wheel. So maybe we'll get a guest because Zemi is not going to be there tomorrow. He will be joining us on Thursday, though. Scrub Nurse, good friend of the show. Welcome, brother. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, glad I could watch you guys live. Much love. Well, indeed, much love to you, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Everborn Saga. I want to grab your ear about this. Now, I go to you next for a couple of reasons. One, we obviously know that you have the Everborn Saga, which is heavily anime inspired, which clearly tells me that you have your ear to the floor when you talk about some studios like a Sony Japan studio. And it's and again, let's not fake the funk here, folks. This quote unquote restructure, shut down the studio. We're moving out of Japan, moving into the Americas and to Europe. Anyone that doesn't think the Japanese gamers don't feel slighted, you're lying to yourself. I don't care what articles are out there trying to say, no, the Japanese community gives us the thumb up. That's BS. This is a big deal. The gaming media has not been shining a light on this, and I don't want to turn this into an us first them thing, but I can guarantee you, if this was another Microsoft or a Nintendo, it would be hell on earth. And I don't understand why no one's talking about it, but that's why you tune into Primetime Gaming and Double Barrel Gaming, because we talk about the topics that big media is afraid to talk about, and we're going to break that down. How big of a loss is this going to be, Everborn, for Sony moving forward?
See, I think this is one part of when you play Jenga and then you kind of take out the pieces, and then just because you want to make things interesting, so you take one out from the bottom, right? I wanted to highlight where Jim Ryan was from, because I think he knows that market very well, and I think he is clinging to what he knows. And see, what Jim Ryan reminds me of, who he reminds me of, is Steve Ballmer, right? Now, Steve Ballmer was a money guy, right? Bill Gates was the vicious businessman, very smart, very large vision, understood the market, understood where the market was going. Steve Ballmer knew how to bring the money in. So when Bill Gates stepped away from Microsoft, we saw Ballmer continue to do what worked for the company, right? And I think the reason you never see a generation play out the same way twice in a row is because it is very hard to do something different when you are winning, right? So I think that Jim Ryan is he knows how to make money and bring money in, but I don't know that he necessarily sees where the puck is going the way, say, a Satya Nadella does, right? Because if you look at Windows in the Ballmer era, they made money, but because they were so focused on what was making them money currently, they missed the mobile market, and they let Apple and Android come in and take it from them when it was sort of theirs to have, right? And so I think if Sony isn't careful, this is not like, there's still ample opportunity for them to do, great things. But I think that slowly but surely we're starting to see these pieces fall into place. We're seeing the sort of I I don't want to get too spicy because it's early in the show. I was gonna say House of Cards, but we're not gonna say that yet. We're not gonna say that yet, but it's coming though. It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
But my main point is, I think that Jim Ryan is he's looking at the numbers behind everything else. Like, we can look at it as gamers, we can look at it emotionally, but he is probably looking and saying, hey, we are making the most of our money from the Europe and North America. We are going to hyper focus there because that's what money guys do, right? They look at the numbers, and sometimes to their detriment, they do not understand what influence means, right? You may make more money from the EU and North America, but guess what? Those regions are influenced by what happens in Japan, right? And so if he's not careful, right, things like that, changing the button layout, things like closing Japan studios, things like moving away from the PSP, those things those are all just taking out pieces of the Jenga puzzle, right? And it could all fall on you because you were so focused on the money you are making now and doing what works today, right? And I think that is the danger. Nothing is set in stone. They still have much time to pivot because they have so much goodwill.
Correct.
But if people begin to, like, I feel like trust is beginning to erode.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Are you implying that things may be changing?
No. Listen.
That mindset could possibly be changing.
We are on the precipice of something, and I said this to you guys in the private chat, right? This is a war of attrition, right? And so what happens is people will defend $70, right, until they get to a place where they are paying $70, and then the other side is getting the same game that Sony may. I don't know if we're getting MLB yet, but they're getting the same game that you have to pay for. On the Sony side, you're getting it in the Game Pass subscription, all included, right? And now people are starting to think this sounds like highway robbery, right? And so the mindset is beginning to change, right? And so they are beginning to. I'm saying I'm seeing chinks in the armor. Right?
Yes, we do. It's funny you should even say that, because literally I said the same thing in the green room.
Yeah,
to Cognito.
Yeah, he did. You did, bro.
And this is the thing. So before you know it, right, the goodwill starts to come on the other side, because now people are you say it now. What's going to be the Game Pass announcement next month? Right. Meanwhile, on the other side, people are realizing, oh crap, I have to pay all of this money for what I'm getting over there. And it's not only saying I'm going to sign up for Game Pass, but it makes them look at Sony in a different way. And that is something that I think they need to be careful of. I could go on forever. I have a lot more thoughts. And like I said, it's going to get spicy. So I'm going to pause here, and we'll come back around.
Yeah, obviously the second half of the show, folks, we want to wait for everyone to get in here, waiting for Forte to get here. If you're wondering why we're not talking about the Game Pass situation, it's because, we want to slowly lead up to, again, the way I write these shows is it has to make sense. It can't just be a bunch of blabber thrown up there and we're all trying to figure out what we want to say. There's a structure to it. We're going to get to it. Don't worry. I want everyone to get their piece in, and, and we will get to it. Believe you me, I have a lot to say, and you're going to be very surprised. Again, this isn't a witch hunt. We're not throwing Sony under the bus. Sony threw themselves under the bus. I don't have to do that. They've already done that. And there's people in their community, some of the most demanding fans that will defend them to the core, are now starting to step back and ask questions. And when that happens, when your hardcore starts asking the questions, you might be running into a problem. Let's get Clowns in this. Clowns, you've been waiting for a while to talk about this. closing Japan studios is a conundrum. And I still think that I don't understand it. I think what's more frustrating than anything is that Jim Ryan or anyone from Sony for that matter are not really talking about it, giving the fans, because basically what this does is it closes the door on the conversation of a Bloodborne 2. Bloodborne is one of the most revered Sony exclusives. It's called spade a spade. That is not happening now. And there's a reason for it. But Sony isn't speaking. What do you think is going on in Sony?
Well, to be honest with you, I think they're trying to shift their focus more towards America and Europe. And I think that they see that Xbox is really strong in North America. So they're moving a lot of stuff over here to California and their other studios just to compete in Xbox's own market. They know technically that, Europe is primarily PlayStation right now. And like you guys have alluded to, they still have some time before they could lose that fan base. So what they want to try and do is take some of Xbox's market share and then see if they can face off that way. But Sony is playing a losing game no matter what they do, because they're thinking like a dinosaur. They're thinking old school ways. And I know we'll get into it next topic. But I kind of agree with what everybody else has said so far. And I don't want to overstep into next topic. So I'm just going to say the rest for a little bit later.
Okay. All right. Easy enough. I mean, again, we're going to be talking about that momentarily, but let's get Cybernox into the conversation. Cybernox, listen, everyone has had some big points. My question to you, quite simply, is how could they recover from a loss as big as Japan Studios, and not have an answer for it? I mean, again, they have been questioned by multiple people within their community, within the press, as them abandoning, those are the words, abandoning Japan. And they have fought back on that, but this doesn't say that they're fighting for Japan. This sounds like very like what people are saying. They're abandoning it, and to close this studio is a mistake. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I don't know if they need what I think is during this restructure that they're doing right now, it's kind of they're losing their identity a little bit, right? They're losing that identity that made Sony, PlayStation exactly what they are till today. I think I'm in the same boat as Cog and Everborn and probably everyone else. It seems that Jim Ryan, he's the guy that follows the money, right? And in this restructure that they're doing, we got to remember Sony's gaming division now is their number one priority. So they're looking at all the money that pretty much everybody is making. What money have they left out in the table? And we got to remember too, I think they still have a board to answer to. So they have to,
right.
they have to agree. So these ideas are coming to the board and they collectively have to make this decision, So whatever their plans are, we can't say that Sony is going to be hurting or is hurting, but there seems to be some kind of disconnect right now with exactly what maybe some of the hardcore fans. I mean, they probably have a lot more data than we do, right? On exactly what's going on how much engagement and things that they're having on their platform. So maybe this move, even though it seems like it's something that it seems that they're neglecting the fans and some of their traditions, it may not have that big of an impact as we think it might have, especially with the new generation coming up. Because we always got to remember, we always think that on these decisions based on what we think, right? Based on what we like and what we think would be the right things to do. But we got to remember, we're getting older. There's a whole new generation coming up.
Valid.
But I do know that the Japanese people are very they're very honorable people, and they like things a certain way, and they keep to their traditions. So even something as small as changing the button layout from an X to an O, that could have a major impact, especially in their home turf. Now, so Sony's name recognition and how wide and how far their brand loyalty and like I said, their brand recognition goes it's amazing. They have a lot of good fortune with fans as of right now. So I think I love the Everborn's analogy, in regards to the Jenga. They're trying all these things, they're pulling all these pieces to see what's working, but they have to be careful because, like I mentioned in the beginning, what made themselves great, that identity, that Sony, that that everyone loved, are they straying too far away from that? And is that gonna end up hurting them at the end? We'll just have to see and find out. It's gonna come a time that maybe too much time has passed. Like Everborn mentioned, they left a lot on the table with the mobile market. You can even say that Game Pass and the way it's being tailored right now for the fans, they're leaving Sony's PS now, on the rear view mirror, because they're 18 million plus already. How far ahead can they get before Sony, does a 180, so like I said, they're trying different things, but for them to make up something like a Japan studio that, so many talented developers have left, we'll see. We know that what was her name? She just got her own studio, but we won't see anything that
Yeah,
she
but
made.
again, she right now she's
but
second
she's not
party. Yeah,
right.
she's
Second
not
party,
first
right?
party.
Correct.
Yeah, she
100%.
signed an exclusive deal with
Yep.
Sony.
Yeah.
You're talking about Jade Raymond. But
Yep.
yeah, with that game is 3, 4, 5 years away. So I mean, again,
Yeah,
I'm excited for it
100%.
because I like her as a
Yeah.
talent. But you're absolutely right. Listen, let's get middle-aged gamer guy into this conversation. Before I do, let me catch up on some of the super chats. Mag, the Arnie F drops a very generous $2 super chat, and he says something funny. Game Pass haters used to rent games at Blockbuster. Facts. Yes, that's true. This one's for Cognito from our good brother Enrique. Says this after dropping a $2 super chat. Hey, Boom and Panel. Cog, give me back my knees.
No.
Speak to King David about that because he doesn't give refunds.
Me and Boo had a little bet going on, but yeah, shout out to Brad because he's coming around. He's coming.
Yeah,
around.
He's coming. Right, we listen. If you like me, you'll love the Basement Radio Arcade podcast that's on Wednesdays. That crew is fantastic from top to bottom, and then Enrique is a gamer through and through. He's a part of the PC Master Race. We still love him. Dovigan 89. Yeah.
Yo,
Dovican 89 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says Sony's gold pot is the PlayStation 4 market. 9th gen is a whole new ball game. They were not expecting Xbox new vision. I think you're right. I've said this for a while. I've gotten booed for it. I think they honestly caught Sony with their pants down. And I said this before, and you can quote me on this. I don't remember what show it was. The arrogance of Sony is exactly why they're in the position that they're in. And this is what listen, we've seen this kind of arrogance happen almost like clockwork. You saw it go from the PS2 to the PS3 with the giant crab, right? And the $600 console. You saw Nintendo not want to pivot and wanted to stay the same from the Wii to the Wii U. They failed. And they came back with the Switch, right? We saw the Sony come back from the PlayStation 3 debacle, and towards the end, they did come back, but they came back strong with the PS4. You are now seeing the exact role for Microsoft. They were dominant as in the 360. They did not listen to the fans. They let leadership ruin it. 2013 comes, it's a debacle, it's a disaster. 7 years later, they are now primed to potentially win this generation. And mind share, one of the most important things in gaming, is something you cannot buy, and Microsoft has it in spades. But let me continue with the introduction.
One small point. It's not all hubris. I don't know, because it's very hard to tell your board this is making money and we need to cannibalize our success in order to move forward. Not every board will listen to that.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
I think Apple had been so successful because they were willing to cannibalize their own products in order to serve a greater future. So a service like Game Pass, to tell them, hey, you're going to lose money from what works to do something like a Game Pass day and date model. You have to sell the board on that. And I think that is that's why he got the earliest name, right?
Yes.
He sold them on that. But it's also easier to do that when you're losing.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like
yeah.
Apple almost went out of business before the iPhone came out. They had to borrow money from Microsoft. That's a fact. Right? So let's not all throw it on Jim Ryan. But sorry.
No. That's quite all right. And that makes a great point. Eddie Mims drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "Loving the show so far." Well, Eddie, thanks so much for the generosity, but thank you for the compliment. We had Gerald Mack. Wow, dude, he drops another outstanding $10 super chat and says, "The gaming space looks a lot different once Microsoft decided to help Xbox PDMA. Clearly was the best man for the job, and he had Satya definitely righted the ship. No doubt about it. But Satya putting Phil Spencer in charge of this, listening to what Phil had to say, is the reason why there's such massive success. CYV Studios drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, Game Pass code. Oh, Game Pass code. Folks, if you didn't already get it, he drops a Game Pass code in there. Grab it while it's hot. Thank you, CYV Studios. And gamers play HUD Zero. Drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, I told people they didn't listen. This is the fully backed Microsoft. Oh no, this is the fully Microsoft backed Xbox now. SIE is on their back foot and fan loyalty is thin. The Book of X, indeed. We also have Geezer Prime drops another $5 super chat. Thank you, Geezer. He says, it's been difficult for Sony to compete with Game Pass. Microsoft has been building the infrastructure for Game Pass for years. Indeed, they have. And our brother Cog bringing us back to church once again. Smitty Smith with the outstanding $5 super chat says, salute to the panel and the chat. There's no greater power than X, the Book of X. And of course, Dan Lazaro drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: the writing is on the wall for Sony. 5 more years and Microsoft announces they bought Sony.
Is that King of a dummy account? Who is this?
that might be King of the dummy account. First of all,
that's that murder. What's going on, King? What's up, Dan? I see Dan.
Mag, let's get Mag's opinion on this. Mag,
Yes,
Japan
sir.
Studios is a big deal. I'm actually very surprised that this has not been the crux of many people's conversations because of the levity that this studio holds, and it's being closed like an old A&P. That's just my opinion on it. What are your thoughts on this? First of all, why isn't Sony telling the fans that they have something planned to replace this studio, or do they have anything planned for this studio moving forward?
Okay, now there's a couple things I want to get out of the way first. Everborn, I know you said you were going to save the spice for later. I was born spicy, okay? I'm Italian.
Hey.
So I wake up that way, and I go to sleep that way. So
okay,
guess what?
Mag,
It starts now.
Spice. Let me give you some spice right now.
Okay.
Sony Japan Studios is like Woolworth.
Savage.
Okay, you almost made me forget what I was going to say now. Okay, anyways, in all seriousness, Boom, there's something you said at the beginning of the show. You're talking about Sony's public perception and their marketing and everything else was flawless. I am going to have to disagree with you there. I think that there have been a lot of problems that they've had over the years, but the problem is it's not them, it's everybody who's supporting them likes to sweep these things under the rug instead of putting a focus on it and changing these things, and especially some of the, I would like to say, not Sony, not PlayStation fans. Okay, I have lots of PlayStation fans who are on my PlayStation and everything else. I'm talking about like the toxic guys, whatever. Sweep it under the rug. They don't ask for better, and when they don't ask for better, things don't get better. Okay, and that's just a whole separate story. I didn't want to get into that, but I just wanted to get that out of my system. But here's the thing: this whole situation, I understand what they're doing with a majority of the studios. What they're doing is that they're absorbing them into Team Asobi. Okay, and the reason for that is because they're wanting to capitalize off the popularity of Astro's Playroom, and apparently they want to build on that in the future. You know how hard it was to find? I had to be like Batman, okay, the world's greatest detective, to find out this kind of information. But, anyways, not even IGN talked about that or anything. I found it on some random thing. But Apparently, that's the idea. Okay. However, if this is beneficial for the company, that's great. That's wonderful. That, you know, whatever they're doing moving forward, wonderful. I'm sure they have a plan. This is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Here's my problem. The problem is public perception. And this is where they shoot themselves in the foot. Think about this for a second. Everybody in the panel in the chat, think about this for 2 seconds. How does this look from a public perception? I am not talking about what the moves that they're making, and even if it's right for the company financially, okay, and it makes a lot of sense for them. Think about what the public, the unknowing public, I would say, the public that does not know what's going on behind those closed doors. What they see in a very simple black and white situation is they see that Sony's closing studios and Phil Spencer is putting focus on Japanese legacy tradition.
Yes, great point, dude.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the general public, not us. Okay, or the people who, or the Jeff Grubbs of the world who actually look into these stories and know what's going on and whatever else. And, you know, they know what's going on, but the general public sees that. And that is bad. So what the thing is, yes, if the move is right, you have to be able to do the move. You have to be able to make the move, but at the same time, you cannot lose that public perception, because that is what the general public is going to see. And that is not a good look. Now, another thought here. These people who are leaving these studios, okay? We're not talking about, you know, the general workers, the animators, this and that, whatever, the guys who are just doing like the tracing and this and that. We're talking about the big dogs are leaving those studios, okay? And not one, but several. Where are those guys going to go? This is my thought.
I think they've all, believe it or not, I think they've all teamed up and went to independent studios, you know,
Okay.
like indie studios.
Okay, some of them did, but I don't think all of them did.
No,
This is what
you know what?
if
I
I
know where
were-
you're going with this.
Okay,
I know
if-
where you're going with this. What you're about to say is what I'm thinking. Listen, look, let me just step in for a hot second here. Okay. To your point, and no, I'm actually surprised no one brought this up, specifically Cog, because he's been talking about this on ILP on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shameless plug.
The Lord's
There you
Day.
go.
I like that.
Oh, that's right. That's the Lord's Day.
I continue, bro.
As quickly as Sony is pulling out of Japan, who has been steamrolling Xbox in that direction, in Korea, in Japan, where xCloud is succeeding, and who's been out there making the handshake deals? Phil
Right.
Spencer. He
That's right.
is looking to take over where Sony is backing out. That is a big, big deal.
Yes. Now think about this for a second. What if you're some of these guys who've walked away from these studios? Yeah, some of them started a little studio here, started a studio there. Great. But there's a bunch who haven't. Okay, not all of them. What do? I know Japanese business. They're very savvy. Okay, they play chess, not checkers. So they're thinking 3-4 moves ahead. What I would do is this. Think about Microsoft's next move. Maybe sit on the sidelines for a bit, take a breather, and let things play out, because everybody knows that there's something going on in Japan and Microsoft. Something is going on. We don't know what. It's all speculation, but let's just say, for argument's sake, okay, just for argument's sake, let's just say it was a Capcom or Sega situation, okay, with Microsoft, okay? These guys might sit on that sidelines, okay, put their ear to the ground, feel the pulse, if you will, of the Japanese gaming community, find out where the trend is going, and maybe attach yourself there. You could go to Tango, okay, because then you get wrapped up into that Microsoft ecosystem. You're guaranteed you're going to get paid.
Yep.
Okay, there's a $1 trillion company. It's not like you have to show up to work next day and wonder if you're going to get your paycheck, as you would if you're working for an independent studio. You don't know, right? But these guys, you know. So let's say you do that. Start thinking about and attach it to there. Now, I brought this up about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, about Tomonobu Itagaki, okay, of Ninja Gaiden fame.
Yes.
What the hell did he say? Boom. I said it on the show. I
He
have
said,
to
"I
paraphrase.
want to work with Microsoft. I'm
Right.
willing to be to be acquired."
Right. Now, what is now there's something else he said it later on in that same sentence. He said, word in Japan is that Microsoft is being very aggressive. Those came directly from his mouth.
Yes.
That means that he's not the only one who knows that. So if Sony has dissolved these studios and these guys kind of scatter and they go wherever, then they got to start keeping their eyes on what Microsoft is doing and watch for their next move and maybe, kind of cozy up to them. You've got some hell of a pedigree, okay, of IPs that you could put on your resume. Yeah, I worked on Bloodborne. Yeah, I did the Demon Souls remake, this and that. They're going to go, welcome. That's what's going to happen. And that's what I would do if I was a smart businessman, which they are. Now, there's something else that Cognito said, okay, about Sony changing their focus. This is absolutely true. And they are changing their focus to North America, Europe, Australia, that kind of thing. I mean, their pull over there, okay, at least for the PS4 generation, was pretty substantial. Like, I'm gonna pull out one example. This is actually really funny. It was on the news of all things, and this is last April. I never forgot about it because it made me laugh so much. But it actually, apart from it being funny, it actually made a lot of sense. And it was when the pandemic was really, really bad in Europe, in France, and in Italy. And this one, it was specifically in Italy. And it showed this 80-year-old Italian mayor, and he's walking around an empty town, right? And he's talking about how he's never seen it like this and that. And in the distance, you see these two teenagers farting around in an alley. And the old Italian guy goes, "Hey, go inside and go play your PlayStation." Okay? And that made me piss my pants. But here's the thing. I laughed. And then I go, isn't that amazing that an 80-year-old Italian guy who's probably never, ever turned on a PlayStation, he knew what a PlayStation was. That is reach, folks.
Once you become an adjective, like that's it, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They
it's like
used
Kleenex.
to say, "Go play Nintendo," right?
Yes.
It didn't matter what you were playing.
Didn't matter what you played. The parents would say that.
That's right. It was a go play your Nintendo. Right. It's all about that. It's taken over. It's like when you blow your nose. You're blowing your nose with a Kleenex? No, but everybody calls it a Kleenex.
Facts.
It's a tissue. Yeah. Kleenex is the name of a company. But anyways, that's exactly what they've done. They've become a brand where it's become part of the language.
Yes.
Right. So why not focus over there? But at the same time, now, like I said at the beginning of this little rant here, okay, you look what you've done to your public perception. You've got Phil working on not only just new things going forward, but also he is putting a lot of praise and focus, like I said, on the legacy and tradition of Japanese gaming. They love that stuff. And that's going to gain more popularity and a lot more angst and a lot of resentment towards Sony. That's what I see.
Well, I mean, listen, you're not wrong. I mean, obviously, you're on to. So everyone has been completely knocked it out of the park. But first of all, we got to welcome back Gaming Forte. What's going on, brother?
Yo, man, what's going on, man?
It is your first
fire up
Hey,
here.
my guy.
It is fire up
Welcome.
here today. I see.
Here we go.
Everybody on fire.
Listen, Gaming Forte, first of all, it's great to have you back. We missed you here. You are a staple. You have been a staple on this show. You helped build this show from the ground up. But you know what you're doing on PDS with Slow-Mo is incredible. What you've been doing on your channel, what Slow-Mo has been doing on his channel has been nothing short of incredible. You guys are seeing great strides, well-deserved success. But before I get to you, I'd have to thank someone in the chat here, Isaac Gentry. Isaac, first of all, welcome to the show tonight. Thank you so much for the support. Not only did he become a channel member, he also drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Hey, boom, new subscriber, love the channel, keep up the good work, brother." Well, Isaac, thank you so much for the kind words and of course the generosity. Definitely appreciate you supporting Double Barrel Gaming, and I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Listen, Forte, you have had a chance to see many angles. Not only do you cover it from your side of the of the pond with with your own channel, but this Japan studio situation is a lot more serious than people are giving it credit for. One of the pride and joys of the PlayStation community, even if you have never played it, even if the game doesn't fit your, quote unquote genre, Bloodborne is a game revered by any PlayStation rah-rah guy or girl about it being incredible. That studio that produced that game is no more. And they're closing it. And like I said, some of the biggest question marks out of this closure has been, is Sony abandoning Japan? They say no, others say yes. What are your thoughts on this?
So it's not that I think that they're abandoning Japan, but Japan isn't what it used to be for PlayStation. And they kind of did that to themselves, honestly. When they allowed the Nintendo Switch to go in there and pretty much just eat up all the market share, even though in the Switch it is a home console, a lot of people use it on the go. And once they kind of, torpedoed their mobile platform when it came to the Vita and the PSP, platforms that people love. I think that was like spelling the beginning of the end for like their support of that area, just because most people don't play systems at home on the go. And when it goes to PlayStation and stuff, no one knows what their idea is or what they wanted to do. But once Shuhei left, once Trenton left, once the old guard started moving itself out of there, it became more of a Western company. You got to think, Jim Ryan is, he had the European region, and a lot of people will credit the European reason for the reason that PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 was as dominant as it was this generation or last generation, because they literally destroyed every console in that market like 2-1 or 3-1. Right. And you make the CFO of the company, the CEO or VP of the company, you're basically saying that, okay, the ideologies that you had as a company over there, we want you to implement here. We want you to implement not just in our European market. We want you to represent that or replicate that across the whole company. That's why you see Sony moving their worldwide studios or worldwide headquarters to California in the US. Why do they do something like that? Because they understand that, the Western market is the ones that basically flip the bill for about 90% of the revenue that they actually make as a company. So it's more of a simple fact that the diversity that PlayStation had when it came to Japan and those type of games that they give, and there's a lot of people on PlayStation that actually, love that type of stuff. And that's the reason some people buy those games and stuff. We still got Atlas and stuff and over there, but those aren't studios that they actually own and stuff. When it came to, you got Shadow of the Colossus, like you said, Bloodborne, shout out to the Ashen Luca. She gonna buy Bloodborne day one all over again if they ever put that thing on PC. Yep. That's one of the most iconic games that came out in that franchise that a lot of people truly, truly love. And it's a shame to know that there's a good chance that we won't ever see that Bloodborne 2 or anything like that. But it just truly comes down to Sony is looking at the West as the opportunity that they didn't have back in the 360 generation. The success that they saw with the PS4 kind of emboldened them to kind of feel like, we're going to still sell in Japan without even doing anything. Now, we're already not selling great, but if we focus in these other territories, that's what's going to matter the most to us. That's why you see on day one, 75% of the allocation of PS5s went where? To the United States of America. The rest of them went to Europe. Some went to Japan. And a week later, everything else in the rest of the world kind of opened up. So that just kind of tells you their whole philosophy. And they say, and if you're not looking at your homeland as a place that you can really dominate in sales at, then your homeland is where those games are kind of made at. And the games that Studio Japan did make didn't really appeal as much as a lot of people would say they appeal. A lot of people over here in the Western side, they were games that people was like, yo, these are really cool games if you're really into them. That was always the caveat that went to them. But I just think, overall, it's just another reason for Sony to just basically cut back on certain things that they're actually developing. They want to kind of focus on the AAA huge blockbusters, the things that they know are going to 100% sell. Even knowing Bloodborne was one of those games that did very well, what was the sales on that game? Was it God of War sales numbers? Was it Spider-Man sales number or Uncharted sales numbers? No, it wasn't up there like that. So as much as a lot of people really hate that they're doing this to that company, and I agree with Mag just said, I think the success of Astro's Playroom, and they actually did come out and say that, and if you look hard enough, you will find it. they definitely said we're going to roll a lot of these developers over into Asoba, and we actually want to give a proper version of what an Astros game would be, because they see that people actually enjoy and love that. And in order for that to be a possibility and them to kind of capitalize on that as this pandemic is still waning and people are still trying to find these consoles so they can get that fixed for themselves, they're going to have to get the manpower from somewhere else. And I think that's what they're basically doing. They're basically cannibalizing one studio to make room for another, for within another studio to make the games that they know will actually do pretty well. Because I'll tell you right now, if they tell you in the next year and a half that, we got a full version of Astros Playroom, show you some gameplay, some stuff that's going to go in it, a lot of people are going to go out and buy that game, especially if they have the console now. I don't know, probably pretty much everybody in this room is going to get it because they enjoy what it was the first time around.
Well, I mean, I platinum Astros Playroom.
Like people platinum the game. That was like their first platinums on a PS5. So I think that's kind of the mode they're going into. But I just don't like the fact that they're kind of going against what their heritage is. They're, people remember Studio Japan for the things that they did.
Yeah.
Just because Knack and other stuff like that came out of there, that doesn't mean that's not nothing. It's just the fact that people enjoyed the games they were making. And that's what made PlayStation diverse from every other platform outside of Nintendo, because they had those games. And now that those games are possibly, unless they find other studios to make some of those games, they're kind of in the win. And it's kind of a mistake, but every generation, the leader makes some type of mistake. It just comes up to the people that were following in the rear to capitalize on those mistakes. And we're going to talk about that stuff later. But, this is just another mistake that Sony's been making. And hopefully it's not too late for them to kind of change the direction that they're doing with all this.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know what? I mean, I'm looking at the time. We're an hour into the show, right? And I did have a topic. I'm going to bring it up in conversation. I'm not going to focus on it because the focus of tonight's show is what transpired on Friday morning. And what's interesting is comes on the cusp of Phil Spencer on March 31st, making 7 years as head of Xbox, and him coming out Friday morning and dropping what was considered to be a megaton bomb by many, that a Sony first-party game is going to cost you on the PlayStation 5 $75, but if you are an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, it's going to cost you nothing but press the button to download. And what's crazy is you are getting if you have an Xbox Series X or S, you're getting the next gen edition for absolutely nothing. And really, I mean, I'll say this, okay? What Xbox Game Pass has done in the last, let's say, 2 weeks, and I'm going to go from little to big, right? They came out with Octopath Traveler. Now, that may not be your bag. I'm 15 hours in, and I can't wait to get back to it. It is old school JRPG at its finest. And if you're a fan of that kind of game, you're going to love this. Okay? Then they have Outriders, which you see the gameplay here. Day and date in Xbox Game Pass. And you figured and you know what's crazy? Look at social media if that's where you like to stay. How people like Octopath Traveler, no big deal. Outriders, AA game, it's going to suck anyway. But people changed their tune real quick when a first-party Sony game went to Xbox Game Pass. Not only was it heralded as one of the best sports exclusive for Sony's PlayStation 4, 3, 2, going all the way back. But this is the first time it's being released outside of that platform. And somehow Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer has figured out a way to get that into Xbox Game Pass. Now, listen, let me tell you something. This isn't the work of the devil. This isn't magic. There aren't unicorns falling around. But I'm gonna tell you some spice. Mm-hmm. This is Phil Spencer putting his big foot forward and shocking a lot of people. Everyone, looks at Phil's. Phil's the nice guy. He's gonna put these games on PlayStation because Phil loves gaming and he's a good guy. Well, yeah, he showed how much of a good guy he was to Xbox fans. And he did that. You know what, Cog, before I get to you, I don't want to lose these super chats. We have quite a few that came right in. Dan the Man Cunningham, good friend and generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, it would require something substantial for Sony to pack up shop and leave their home turf. Prepare for the next Xbox bomb drop. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be big for sure. Dan Lazaro drops an additional $5 super chat and says, Sony is getting Chris Tuckered. Xbox is kicking them in the face over and over, and Sony is just dazed and confused. Shrub Shark. That is funny.
Which one of y'all kicked me? That's all I'm saying.
Shrub Shark drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox and EA have an agreement for Mass Effect Legendary Edition on release on Game Pass day one. Wow. Day and date. Listen, folks, there's a rumor floating around. I didn't want to bring it up, but Shrub Shark said EA, so I suppose I'm going to have to bring it up. The question, right, comes, Cog, is anything off the table at this point, right? Like I said, you go from a Nintendo Switch exclusive, then you go to a big game, which, by the way, saw big numbers. As a matter of fact, Benji Sales, good friend of ours, we put some numbers out there. They're doing some Destiny-like numbers.
Oh, bro, they're doing fantastic.
You know what I'm saying?
They're the most played right now. They're in the top 10 already.
They're already in the top 10. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I got 31 hours in this game, and I have only unlocked a corner of the cloud because I keep doing all the side missions. It's
Same,
like crack.
Too. I'm addicted, bro.
It's like crack cocaine. Is really what it is. Okay, that's what it is. I can't stop playing and leveling up and looting, and it's a big deal. But now we have to talk about this MLB The Show stuff. This is. Let me tell you something. You want to talk about a kick to the balls. You want to talk about getting clocked over the head with a Tata Quieto stick. And obviously Cybernox knows what that is. That's all about. Because I got hit with that as a kid. My grandmother didn't mess around.
You're killing me right now.
This is... I got to tell you, bro, as a Sony fan, if you are a Sony exclusive fan, you got to be feeling mighty low. You know what I'm saying? You got to be feeling like, yo, what is Jim Ryan doing over there where our exclusive isn't Game Pass? And I seen some videos. I think it was the Darsh Knight that did one where he lit his shirt on fire. I think it's him. I'm almost positive it's him.
Dodge is in his bag. Him and Gatsby.
Yo, that was ridiculous. I mean, but something what's scary is if you read what the diehards are saying, that is where I think Sony needs to be concerned, because there are people, and I saw about a half a dozen posts like this of people blocking Sony over this move.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw it on my time, and I'm like, okay, I got to mute this because this is getting out of control. People taking pictures of, it's like it's crazy. Cog. How big of a deal is this for Xbox? But more importantly, how big of a deal is this for Sony players?
Let's get to it, man. I'm so glad you invited me, because this one has special significance for me. For me, obviously, New York City got a rep. Baseball was my first, before football. Baseball was kind of like my first love as far as playing and as far as playing video game baseball games since the MVP baseball days, high heat. I mean, Sarv and I would play these baseball games
RBI baseball,
RBIs, timeless sort of whatever to do. Baseball
bases
loaded. I mean, all them joys. So for me, I remember when MLB The Show came out, and for us, we are the definitive simulation style baseball game fans, right? We want that true to life experience. We want the pitch counts to be right, the fatigue to be right. And MLB The Show is the gold standard of
Yes,
that.
100%.
It's not even close. Like those guys over there do a phenomenal job. And not only that, they got the feel of baseball, the feel of the tendencies, all the little nuances. Like it is really amazing what that team does. So I remember it's like 2015, my first E3. I'm out there Dolo in Cali. I'm like, look, man, it was always my dream, instead of watching it on the VHS tapes, we used to get back in the day. I would say, yo, I got to get to LA somehow. That year, King couldn't make it. He was like, damn, you out there repping. I see you, you know what I'm saying? But I had to do it. So I go to my first fan fest and everything. And, it's my first time. Phil is like literally just named the leader September, maybe 2014. So I'm thinking like June 2015, I'm out there, Cali Dolo. So I meet all the team. I meet these guys. Phil is really cool. So he asked me straight up at the time. He's like, look, what can we do to make Xbox better? So I didn't have any like great, things to say as far as like all these great ideas. I'm coming from a selfish cog standpoint. I'm like, why y'all don't got no baseball game? It was really bothering me because I was like, at the time, if you remember, MLB 2K was discontinued now.
Yes.
And so that was the lone savior. That game was okay, right? So it was like the lone thing that was on the Xbox platform that had the MLB license that was official. And then they kind of got out the game. And then obviously the MLB license goes over to these guys with MLB The Show. So I remember him looking at me and, he's fairly new at the time. He was with Greeny. So I said, yeah, man. I was like, Phil, man, it's inexcusable. Because I think the only way you could have it based on the licenses agreement at the time was that if Xbox's own in-house studio then made a baseball game and then requested the license and paid for the license. So Greeny then he looks over to Greeny like, yeah, why don't we? You know what I'm saying? And then Greeny's kind of like, yo, license and mark. He gave him that corporate face. And he was like, oh, okay. So at that time, he's like, look, I hear you. It's one of them things we definitely going to have to work on, right? And he was a man about it. So for me, this is full circle because at the end of the day, this is a cold-blooded, calculated move. And the reason being is the fact that we know that, yes, the MLB, they have control in this say for the most part as to that license. We know at some point a decision was made that this to Sony, that this has to go multi-plat, whether it be business, financial, they're not seeing enough return. Somehow, I don't have the details of the contract. Hopefully I'll have some legal stuff on ILP tomorrow to get that straightened out as far as the exact detail. But from what I understand, definitely something changed in the language, right, of the contract. So now it's opened up. It's multi-plat. Okay, great. In my opinion, that's a win. That's finally a baseball game, simulation style with the MLB license. Let's go Mets. Let's go Yankees. You know what I'm saying? I'm lit. Now the news comes out Friday. Xbox Game Pass. Day and date.
Dude.
Breaks the internet. I'm like, this right here is
Yeah.
different. This is different. Now, the reason I think this is so cool, because what, in my opinion, I know Forte, me and you, we had this discussion before. In my opinion, like, I can't see a situation where Sony is okay with that, right? But the question becomes, how much say could they really have if MLB got the bag? If Phil and Microsoft purposely do a cold-blooded move and say,
yo, they don't have say.
Exactly. So if they purposely drop the bag and say, yo, Game Pass, right? This is different. Now it's a $70 game. Now it's a two-prong attack. Because now mentally you have now twisted the knife in the Sony fan base, because it's like, this is ours. How is our baby over there? How is she rocking with them for free?
Because he's got loot and the other don't.
Listen, I know the money's different, right?
Yes, it is.
Cold-blooded.
I have to admit, see, and this is why I got to give my brother, I got to owe him, I'll give him a public apology, because me and King be building about, like, King has, as y'all know, has this unwavering faith in this man, right? And I'm a skeptic. I'm a realist. I see he's good for the bread. He's good for Xbox. But my only concern with Phil at the time was like, well, maybe he's a little too nice. Maybe he is kumbaya. He's all for the gamer. And for me, that's great. Don't get me wrong. But I feel if you're trying to win, if you're trying to compete, you got to sometimes get down in the dirt and get busy because them dudes over there ain't playing with you. Them dudes over there are going to take a timed exclusive and make it theirs and make it synonymous with the marketing, right?
Yes.
That's how Sony operates.
You know what this is, Cog?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what this is because you read comics like me as a kid.
Let's go.
Okay. Now, when you used to turn to the back page of the comic, there used to be like a 4-panel, thing where it would be the big Buffy bully walking on the beach with the 2 girls and the little skinny man, right? And he kicks sand in his face and he laughs at him, right? And then the whole summer goes by and that little skinny man starts going to the gym. And then he comes back the next season and he beats down on the bully. He takes the girls and keeps it moving. That is what happened here, folks.
So to me, what it is what it showed me about him is he's gonna wait until his ducks are in a row.
Yes.
Before he goes into attack mode. This is an attack move. Let's be real. Xbox didn't necessarily have to do this, considering the fact it was already multi-plat, right? But this is a mindshare calculated move. He knew what the ramifications would be. If you throw this back to say day and date your game, you're paying 70, but over here, we're gonna show you the value of our service. That's cold-blooded. I gotta give it up because at the end of the day, the last thing I point out, because I know I'm going long.
Listen, this is a conversational podcast.
Sorry, I got a lot to say about this.
Keep
I just
going.
want to make sure.
Yeah,
so
keep going, brother.
This is how I looked at this generation. This is his box all the way through. Series X, Series S, this is their vision all the way through. And I gotta be honest, boom. My concern, I think I had this conversation with Rand one time. My concern was just that, let's be real, the Halo Infinite situation was a big setback for me personally. Because I'm like, it's like being a fan of a bad team. So and you're like, damn, like, how is this not ready? How is the launch not ready? So I was upset. And my whole thing is I need to see what he does. Obviously, this is 3-4-3 situation, not all on him, right? But my main thing was how does he respond to not having a lot at launch, right? So in my mind, you got to do 2 things. One, you got to bolster up third party, you got to bolster up Game Pass. He did that. He makes the EA move, right? He then gets a lot of the third parties to time their date with the launch of the Series X and Series S. Okay, cool. Then I say you got to do something long term so that it invigorates the base. He does that. Bethesda, we remember that bombshell. Oh my God, this is crazy. So now what he's doing now, this is warfare now. Now we're doing, okay, you guys like to play with Sony likes to play with timed exclusive and making it synonymous. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you that Game Pass is a weapon. Yes. So now your favorite game, they're strategically picking these great moves, like you said, Boo. Octopath Traveler. To some people don't care, but I know Nintendo guys, I know people in JRPG
on Switch.
Facts that will love that genre, right? So you got this diverse lineup. Then comes the Outriders, which is huge.
Which, by the way, is, listen, I get that it has its problems, but if you're not playing this game or at least trying it, man, you're missing out.
Oh, yeah,
you're missing out right now, straight up.
And Forte, looter shooters are literally tailor-made for Game Pass.
Yes,
online engagement, numbers. It's just a beautiful thing, to have a good live service game in your platform that's good, and that's what Outriders is doing. Now the MLB thing, what I'm saying? You're the de facto thing in town, right? And here's the other thing people not even realizing. They're now becoming the sports
they are
platform. And people don't realize, from a casual perspective.
You know what? Let me elaborate that on first. Folks, I have the list in front of me. Okay, so you understand exactly what Cognito is saying here. This is what is currently available in Xbox Game Pass. Now, just again, when you say it out loud, there's no substance. Well, I'm going to give you substance right now. You got the newly announced MLB The Show, Football Manager 21, FIFA 21,
Huge.
NBA 2K21,
Wow.
Madden 21,
Yeah.
NHL 21,
Wow.
PES 21.
Brother.
Are you all in Xbox Game Pass? This has become, and what's crazy, Cog, is politely and quietly, it has gone from the bro dude shooter box.
Yeah, I was just about to say, yep.
To be in the box for sports and JRPGs and first-person shooters and looters, because Destiny is in there. It's crazy.
The last point I'll say is this. I know a lot of the hardcore, they say, look, I'm not into baseball. That's not for me. And I get it. But people have to think outside their own personal box, right? And at the end of the day, there is that casual guy that he may just buy the Madden, the 2K, the Call of Duty, and like maybe one other game, and that's his 3 games for the year, right? Now you're telling me that those games are in this service. And here's the scary part. They ain't finished. You got this going on.
Dude, the rumor that popped up today is Battlefield 6.
I heard
is going to be announced as the next big
saying
bomb.
That.
Bro,
the
potential is scary. You basically gave the dude that you bullied a gun. And he's outside. And now you got to deal with the consequences because you bullied him all high school. And now he's not playing with you. He don't want to hear about your feelings. Last point, final for real point is what's great about this move and these moves that they're doing. They're strategic. They're calculated. And the scary part is Game Pass is growing. And the first parties we know are still going to be cooking and coming. You still got the Bethesda stuff. You still got Xbox.
20 plus million COG without any first party bangers.
They're growing without the bangers yet. That's scary. So at some point, Sony's going to have to make an assessment on how to deal with it. Do they continue with the strategy? Do they go more aggressive with their third party deal? At the end of the day, look, it's a fun generation. Buckle up, y'all. But I have to admit, King was right. Phil is a killer. This boy ain't playing no games out here. He tired. He tired of the talk. He's taken every narrative away.
Yeah.
Last generation that they threw in his face. But that's
I mean, listen. What could you say? Yeah. I'm afraid to call on somebody to follow up that because you just completely knocked it out of the park. Pun intended, for sure. Forte. Let's get you.
I knew you was gonna call me to follow that.
I have to because
let's go, bro.
You're a man of many words, and you have been preaching Xbox Game Pass for what seems like ever. And what Microsoft has done with MLB The Show is, like I said, it's a stake to the heart. I know you can use any pun you want, kick to the balls, hair pull, whatever you want to do. Poke to the eye like Roddy Piper, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But this was, like Cog said, a strategic move done for primetime. And do you know how this was strategically done? Mm-hmm. Because Phil Spencer himself
tweeted
made the announcement. This didn't come from Melissa McGame Pass or Aaron Greenberg or Sarah Bond or Matt Booty. This came from the king himself. And when the king is out there, now, because you know about Kings, because King David's on your show, you obviously know this is a big deal. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
How big of a deal is this for Xbox Game Pass? But more importantly, is this the gut punch for Sony players?
Oh man, it's all of the above. I woke up on first of all, shout out to Microsoft for giving us Bethesda on a Monday and they giving us MLB on a Friday. I was like, they got both ends of the week covered now. They can drop news anytime they want to. But I woke up, Larry. I woke up that Friday about 11:30, about 9:30, and I'm like, yo, why is I got so many notifications? And I'm looking and I'm like, yo, is this still April Fool's Day? It's April 2nd.
Facts.
It can't be. I was like, bro, no way. So then I go check and then I see emergency meetings and stuff on podcasts from both sides. I was like, yo, this is real. So let's be for real. Let's be for real about this. Sony, they damned if they do, damned if they don't in this situation. You know, if they wanted to keep the license, they had to bend the wheel or bend the knee to what MLB wanted. MLB definitely wanted this thing to be multi-plat. Sony could have easily said, "No, man, we don't want to do that. We don't. You can't have our developer to make it, and that's it." And they would have found something else for the developer to do, but they didn't do that because let's be for real, MLB is a huge seller for them. People, it only sells between 1 and 1.5 million. Up to the most I see is 2 million in a year. But what people don't realize is in a game that is an annual release, they're changing very minimum things in the game, especially when it comes to a sports title. Most of the things they're changing is a couple of features. They're adding probably they're adding new players and roster updates, and they're giving it a more granular touch when it comes to the overall aesthetic and the way the game looks. And MLB is it's not even one of it is the premier sim ever since it's been released. It's been no game that's even been close to what that is. Amazing. So even with that game selling 1 to 2 million, that's 1 to 2 million per year. So think about over 10 years, the MLB franchise has sold anywhere from 10 million to 15 million units of that game. You don't think that Sony look at that as like, yo, that's an annual revenue stream that we just don't want to give up. So I think they looked at it like, okay, fine. We're just not going to publish the Xbox version. You do that. That was their first mistake right there because MLB looking at the situation like, oh, okay, that's fine. We'll publish the game, put it on the other platform. It's still going to have Sony's developer, Santa Monica.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Because this is where we're going to get into the weeds. Okay. Yep. My question to you is this: what if?
What ifs? What
if? Okay. One of my favorite comic books from Marvel Studios. All right. What if the Xbox version of MLB The Show sells more than the Sony version? What if there's 7 million MLB players on Xbox and only 1.7 on PlayStation 4 and 5? What is that going to do to the rhetoric that Xbox got no games, Xbox Game Pass is never was, it's an irrelevant? What happens in that conversation?
Oh man, I mean, they don't even have to sell 7 million. You could just sell 2 million or 1.5, and that would be a conversation piece. Was it because Game Pass it makes it more accessible, like Phil Spencer and Sarah Banks and them all said, where it just gives people the opportunity to play the game? And then on top of that, if now people keep talking about, well, the game may not be in there for the full time. We don't know how long that exclusivity of Game Pass is going to be when it comes to being in that platform. Yeah, but guess what? If you're a baseball fan, why not just play it on Game Pass if you have the ability to have both systems instead of having a PlayStation and an Xbox? Play the Game Pass for your subscription that you already have. And then guess what? Say 3 months from now is leaving Game Pass. Guess what price you can get it for? 20% cheaper than you can still get it on the other platform. That's going to probably be $70.
Yes.
Which is that to me, honestly, none of this really confuses me outside of the fact that PlayStation allow a scenario to come to play where their own fans for a game that their studio developed is literally paying more than the platform that is supposedly the one that's fighting against.
The optics.
The optics is so ridiculously crazy that that is just the part that I can't fathom the most. Sure, Game Pass is amazing. It's one of those entities that you can't quantify because it's just getting better and better over time. And I done heard about some games that's coming in there that's going to blow people's socks off. So just wait for that to happen. But overall, it just really, truly just comes down to Sony. up until this point, I did truly believe Sony really don't have to do anything. Sony can, they got games coming out. Once their games start releasing, they'll be perfectly fine. But I never foresaw a scenario where you can literally get, and it's just baseball, and baseball's not the biggest selling thing, but guess what? This opens an avenue for this to happen in other things.
Yes.
Like who's to say that Jim Ryan just doesn't want the bag altogether and say, yo, I'm into advisor of Sony at one point. I'm all about that money. So this opens up an avenue. Who says this doesn't open up an avenue for something like this to be in Game Pass next year? How if this game does so well on Xbox Game Pass and they see a healthy growth in their Diamond Dynasty players, the monetization version of the game, where people can actually spend money in the game. Because guess what? The one thing people don't realize about Game Pass is since you have such a low barrier of entry when it comes to paying, you're willing to spend money on games inside of that ecosystem that you probably wouldn't have before. I'm real interested to see how much VC has transactions inside of NBA 2K ever since people got a chance to play it inside of Game Pass. What about Madden and Ultimate Team? What about FIFA and Ultimate Team? That's where you can see. That's where you might see later on down the line with it being rumors of Madden and FIFA and Battlefield. All those games, they're looking at the numbers now, and if they say, "Yo, we may not sell as many copies, but by giving these people this game and this subscription service, we're seeing like 10 times the amount of revenue built off of the stuff that's built into the game." And Sony can see that same exact thing with MLB. And who says in 2022 the MLB won't be right there again? I think it's just a slap in the face to their players when it comes to the fact that they're paying more for a game that their developers made. But as of right now, it looks like Sony don't care because they ain't said nothing. It's Monday. It is a working day. So, let's just see if something changes in the future. But as of right now, Godzilla is Microsoft and Kong is freaking PlayStation. And I saw PlayStation take hits all on Godzilla all last generation, and Godzilla just reached back one time and knocked him on the ground. That's all I saw on Friday, and that's what's probably going to keep happening until Sony decides to actually talk about what's going on with their platform, which they haven't done in weeks, months.
Well, someone said
fellas. Hey, fellas,
yes.
Am I buying? Because I had to, you saw in the chat, but I'm in the car. Tell me how I sound.
You sound
you sound fine. As long as you don't try to put the camera on, you shouldn't bot.
Yeah, you should.
I got some things to say.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna go to you next. But and listen, folks. First of all, the super chats. There's been so many coming in. I'm gonna get to all of them. I promise. Big shout out to 500 people here on Primetime Gaming. This is folks. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to hang out. Hopefully you're having a good time. We're all having some fun. I know you have a lot to say, but I'm gonna start you before you get on to your rant, Everborn Saga. I have a question from Mr. X Bot in the chat, and he says this. What if MLB The Show looks better on Xbox than it does on PlayStation 5? Imagine what that would do.
Nah, Sony developed it. They was advertising.
All right, you know what?
We may have lost our brother.
Yeah. You know what, brother?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing. I like, because I came right back in when Cog was talking about how Phil Spencer did the tweet, and that tweet was about, I want you to know I did this to you. Right?
Yes.
When you look in the mirror,
he looked him in the eye.
You see that scar, you gonna remember me. Phil went into Twitter and said, "For the watch," and hit him in the heart like they did Jon Snow. And I'm talking about
you're gonna know because it's from me.
Came back, right? We're not talking about the TV show. So here's the thing.
Let's go.
The thing with this MLB thing. This is it is only the beginning, and this is diabolical, right? All of that Mr. Nice Guy stuff is just so he can get close to you. So you let him in the room, let him in the inner circle. Oh, he's not a threat. No,
he's nice.
He got the knife right behind you. He got the knife in your back, right? And guess what? The fight is fixed. You're surrounded. There's snipers everywhere. Because check this out. He has made it so the council gaming industry can have a free-to-play model while they're still getting paid, and it's not really free to play. It's free to play on Xbox's platform. And guess what? When you keep hearing about all these things in PlayStation Plus, when's the last time you heard PlayStation Now from Sony? That service is gonna get canceled, right? It's going to happen. They're not marketing it because they have given up on that service, right? So now, what they've done, this was a warning shot, right? You know when you were in the hood, they'll just kill somebody and then leave them out there for the whole
leave the body.
See, right? Yeah, that's what this is, right? And so now everyone else, like Forte said, is taking notice. It's like, oh wait, hold on. I was doing these exclusive deals with Sony and locking off a part of the market. Well, Microsoft is saying, no, sell your game on Sony. It's cool. Just bring it over here. Right?
Yep.
And so now, and every game that you have to pay $70 for on PlayStation, but at the same time, it's included in your Game Pass subscription. Everybody, they want to pretend like it doesn't mean nothing, but it does. I had somebody arguing with me today about batteries for the Xbox controller, and then said they were fine paying $70 for MLB. I said, okay, that's where they are for now. But you're seeing these hashtags come up about fire Jim Ryan right now, right? Because like we said earlier, there are chinks in the armor, and MLB today, Outriders yesterday. What is next month to cement in people's heads that the old rules no longer apply? Right?
Yeah.
And this is the real scary thing that they should be in, because guess what? Unfortunately, Sony cannot. This is why Game Pass doesn't exist yet. Sony can't afford to do that right now, right? Because Game Pass takes a lot of capital up front. Like, it's not. Listen, Cuomo just passed that recreational marijuana license. Not everybody could afford to get a retail distributor's license, right?
Right.
So not everybody could open their own dispensary, right? You got to have the startup capital to do it, and you're going to lose in the beginning. Make money in the long run. Correct. Can Sony afford to have $100 million budget games that they're going to give away for now?
Nope.
Right?
They cannot.
And that is the problem. See, what Satya Nadella could say, listen, we play 5 and 10 years out at a time. When we make an investment, we'll say, yo, 30 billion, we putting into this over 10 years. We'll make money back later. Don't worry. Office
long game.
Bringing in money.
Long game.
Azure is bringing in money. You already heard Jim Ryan complaining about how much money does it cost to make these AAA games. The model no longer works. Right? So what are they doing? They can't believe in generations because they got to release on the PS4. I just wonder, right? This is a joke right now. I'm not really serious. But what if like Dance Moves pulls a PS3 and then pulls out the PS4 backwards compatibility that they launch with? Because you remember the PS3 had that. Yeah. They had the big console, and then they wanted to bring it down. That part's dope. But more seriously, the fight is fixed, right? like they are surrounded, and they don't realize it when they're gonna look up to the hills and see that the archers has already got the crossbows trained on them.
Oh my god!
Right?
So basically, you're calling this a 300 scenario.
Arrow through the heart, and this is hard. Right? So this, look. I told you I was gonna get spicy. I got spicy, now, brother. But let me get out of here for a minute.
All right, we'll catch you back in a minute. Let's get, first of all, middle-aged gamer guy. Before I get to you, brother, I have to try and get up some of the super chats. And in my God, folks, you've been wow. I mean, this is just not to be believed. There's so many of them. Hold on a sec. Let me see if okay. Gerald Mack drops an additional $5 super chat and says, for the love of Jehovah, this chat. Hold on a sec. Hold on just a second, folks. Look at the love. I love it. Thank you so much for the generosity, folks. Honestly, it's more humbling than I have words for, to be honest. He says these first-party AAA studio games are proving grounds for everyone else. This is just the beginning. It's a goddamn. It's Going damn Game Pass and chill. I mean, you're right, 100%. Nightwolf 3186 drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "Loving this chat so much tonight. Great job, Boom and panel. Curious, do you and the guys think that Final Fantasy VII is, dude? Final Fantasy VII is going to be announced next month. I'm telling you that right now.
Wow,
I am telling you right now, and I think it's going to come before the month's end, because if you remember, the Final Fantasy VII got delayed by 2.5 weeks, so that kind of held up the original 1 year exclusive. I talked about this a couple of shows ago. Square Enix tweeted 7 pairs of eyes. And I know people were like, "Yo, no, Boom, you're looking too much into this." It's Final Fantasy VII remake going into Game Pass day and date.
You want to know what the interesting thing about that, if that does happen, Boom?
What happened?
The PlayStation 4 version that's in PlayStation Plus right now. If you don't own Final Fantasy, you can't get the free upgrade to the PS5 version. Let's say Xbox does get it in Game Pass, and they say not only is the Xbox version in Game Pass, you also get the Series X and S version in Game Pass.
Smart delivery.
Smart delivery.
Because they have something that PlayStation doesn't have.
Dude, it is. Listen, Big Phil, he's not messing around. You know, he's walking quietly like our good friend Lethal Papa and carrying a big stick, and he's gonna whack you over the head. Nightwolf 3186. I think it is coming, brother. Nightwolf for sure. We also have super chat coming from our good brother Scrub Nurse. Drops a $5 super chat. Has been playing in baseball since Little League World Series on NES. Oh, dude, that's wild. It's going way back. Then 2K on Xbox. Can't wait to play them. The Bronx Bombers on Game Pass. Stand up.
Salute.
Salute. Yes. Bay Area drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, "Good show, Boom, Lord Cog and panel. What is your favorite baseball game of all time? For me, it's MVP Baseball, 2005, OG Xbox, and PS2. For me personally, there was a Neo Geo Baseball.
With the baseball stars?
Baseball Stars.
That was the real crowd. That's the first time I've ever seen the real crowd in the game. Yeah.
Baseball Stars was my joint. But I also really enjoyed Bases Loaded.
Classic.
Yeah, those are classic for sure. Scrub Nurse drops an additional $2 of chat. Says, "This was a straight up Debo move."
Yeah,
my game now.
Scrub is in his bag.
Smitty Smith, our brother, bringing us back to church. He says, "MLB The Show must go on. Game Pass, The Book of X." We have XSF Effect. Phil pretends to be nice, but he's Old Testament behind the scenes.
Thou shalt not spare the rod.
Oh my God, Lord Roughness. Drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "What a move by Phil. To me, it was a case of you agreed for me to have your game as well, but once it's in my house, I can put it into Xbox Game Pass." J Dub is a shill. Drops a very generous $10 super chat. Says, this would have never happened had the Sony fan base supported the game. The Sony guys constantly say we support, we buy games. Well, with 140 million in the wild, this shouldn't have happened to the mighty PlayStation. You know something? You're onto something with that. The Flame drops a very generous $2 super chat. Says, "It's real. Phil Hours Cog. Real Phil Hours." And Gerald Mack drops a generous additional $5 super chat. Says, "Sony PlayStation is playing lightweight games in Microsoft's heavyweight world." Oh, wow, that's big. We have DJ Berto DOS drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, "Hit that like button." Indeed, folks, please help Boomstick grow this channel, folks. I'm under 100 away from 8,000. Let's get there and let's do it right and hit that like button. Where Brandock's real life situation drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "Game Pass only going to get better with more Xbox Series X make on the market. Xbox saying that Sony, hey, look at me, I'm the captain now. Look at me, I'm now the captain." Yeah, listen. Abacab 72, good friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, "Let's say for hypotheticals, Final Fantasy VII Remake was finally coming to Xbox and Xbox Series X and S. If it came out on go date, good day and date, would you be willing to start a new game? You know what, dude? I am about 30 hours in. I will put down my PlayStation version and play it on Xbox straight up. Let's see. Clutchman 01 drops a for generous $5 super chat. Says, just a thought. Xbox went to extra mile to make the DS4 work for xCloud. Could they maybe do that for the DualSense 5? If you can get a DualSense 5 to work on the xCloud, then I think, all right, you know what? I'm going to stop right there and let me just catch up with the chat. I mean, with the panel. Mag, here's the situation. This is, you've heard everyone talk so far, but I want to hear your opinion. I know that it's going to be a spicy one for sure. This is a big deal. This is, I mean, we're all joking, we're all laughing, we're all kind of kicking back. The chat has been on fire. We're closing in on 540 people here. Everyone's having a good time. But the truth of the matter is that this is, you want to talk about dropping the ball. Sony not giving this away, in April, and you know something, their traditionalness, if you will, is going to hurt them in the long run, and not putting this and wanting to sell the game instead of putting this into PlayStation Now or PlayStation Plus. They give you Oddworld. I mean, listen, Oddworld, it's a great game. It's a new PlayStation 5 game. Days Gone, you're playing it, you're loving it. Days Gone for you is fantastic. Yeah. But when you say you can take a first-party Sony game and put it into Game Pass and then still, with the same smile, tell your fans that support your brand, oh, by the way, it's 75 ducats. How bad of a look is this for Jim Ryan and Sony?
Well, isn't this just a continuation of what I was talking about before, about public perception?
Yes.
And what you've done is not only paint this horrible picture over in the Far East Asia, you're talking about in Japan right now, and in the Asian market. Now you're doing it to the North American market, which is supposed to be your bread and butter, at least part of your bread and butter anyhow. Now, a couple things before I even get started on this whole situation. Forte, enough with the Kong slander. Okay.
Whoa.
I almost dropped the mic when I was like, what did the hell did he just say?
Whoa. Don't be mad at me. Hey, don't get mad at me. The God put his foot on the king's chest. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the boy by the end of the film, for being old and decrepit and got gray coming out of his beard.
Yeah, well, so do you and so do I. Okay, does that mean we're finished?
But we not Kong or Godzilla.
Speak for yourself. Anyways, in all seriousness, let me get back into this. Sorry, I couldn't take the Kong slander. Kong's my man. Anyways, Phil was never Kumbaya. Ever. He's been waiting for this generation to start. Quietly waiting, putting everything else, just like Cognito said, lining all his ducks up in a row, okay? And then when his chance finally came, because I've heard that on the campus there, okay, on the Microsoft campus, it said that this was 2 years before the launch of the Series X. The word around the campfire there was that everybody was itching for the next generation to begin. They knew that they were going to make their moves, but they had to do so carefully. And by doing that, what you've done is that you've not stepped in your own whatever. Okay, what you've done is that you've carefully maneuvered your way into a position of power.
Yes.
And that's where you make the move. You do not make a desperate attempt or a wild swing, okay, and then with the possibility of missing, and then guess what? Your footing is off. Okay, think about it like boxing. Someone takes that wild swing and their footing is off. That's where the counterpunch comes in, and everything that you've been building up has now been taken down. He waited for this moment for these things to happen. It's not like we found out 2 weeks ago, that Phil found out 2 weeks ago that MLB The Show was coming to Game Pass. He's known for at least a year. Because when did we first find out that that it was going multi-plat? Was it last year? Was it not?
It was literally around April of last year, right so it's before the last release for PlayStation exclusive. Correct.
Guaranteed, he knew a year before that. Okay, because when they're making moves, they're not making moves for tomorrow, next month, 6 months from now, a year from now. They know what's going on in 2028, 2030. Okay, all that kind of stuff. I brought this up before when it came out with the Marvel situation. You know that Kevin Feige said that he's already set till 2040. I know it sounds absolutely ludicrous, but
no,
he's actually said
nothing wrong or nothing wrong with looking that ahead.
They're
dude.
already ready for that. So these kind of moves do not happen overnight. Phil has been quietly biding his time. And you know what it ended up being? Okay, just like in the Snyder cut of Justice League. Okay, you know, Batman has got all those parademons flying on him, and then he jumps in that big spider, and then he turns around and just goes, my turn. And then he starts firing them guns. That's exactly what just happened. He's been waiting. He's had those Sony parademons nipping at his heels, pulling on his cape. He finally got into that big metal spider. Satya Nadella's in the driver's seat, and that's when he turns around. My turn. And that's what just happened. And this is the beginning of my turn. Okay, we've had the Outrider situation. Cognitos gave us a whole laundry list of all the awesome things that they've been doing. You've had the EA Play in Game Pass. You've had the Bethesda.
And mind you, hold on a second. Let me just add to that, brother. What we have all forgotten, because Phil has once again lulled us into a full sense of what's going on. The Ubisoft Plus is coming.
Yeah, that was going to be on my laundry list now of things. So yes, you're absolutely right. Now the EA Play in there, success. Bethesda, a success. Outriders and Game Pass, a success. MLB The Show, not guaranteed, but I would almost guarantee that it'll be a success. Okay, now you've got Halo coming later on this year. Like what are they doing now? They're not just trying to dominate, they're trying to bolster up their lineup this year, because the lineup, let's face it, from the first party standpoint of this year, keywords this year, is a little light. Okay, you wait till 2022, 23 and beyond, when those studios start cranking out big budget games one after another. It's going to be, you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be on this very podcast going, guys, stop. We don't have enough time.
The new tagline is Xbox has too many games.
Yeah, it's like, I don't have time. I mentioned this before. I'm going to have to quit my job soon. I'm going to have to leave my career and say, guys, I'm sorry, I got to be a full-time gamer. I can't keep up with the backlog. It's ridiculous. Now, the Battlefield 6 thing, I died on that hill for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Okay, I died on that hill saying it was going to go day one in Game Pass. This, I'm telling you, I've been saying it for weeks, if not months. Battlefield 6 is, in my mind, 100% coming to Game Pass. They are already in bed with EA. We already know that. Okay? And so why not? Look at the moves they're making now. Would have anybody have woken up on Friday and say, stretch and go, I think MLB The Show is going to be in Game Pass? Not one person predicted that. Right? Yep. And if they can make moves that big and that powerful, you know that Battlefield 6 is right there too. Okay? And that's going to be a big time move. Let's also not forget Crossfire X is coming out sometime this year as well. So that's another one. Now, I wanted to touch on something else. You guys mentioned about the sports game situation. Now, I've been playing baseball games forever. I'm going to give you a very, very, very brief history here. Okay? All the way back from like when I used to play Oral Hershiser's Strike Zone in like 1983.
Wow. Talk about it. Wow.
Okay? And then I went into Triple Play. Remember EA's Triple Play Baseball?
Triple Play Baseball.
That's right. Go. And then they had MLB games. And then, and if you could believe this is how I played Frank Thomas's Big Hurt Baseball.
Big Hurt.
Big Hurt. You remember that? Wow. Frank Thomas Big Hurt. I think that was 1996, if memory serves. This old man remembers. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. I love baseball games. And like my brother who's a casual gamer, he bought the PS4 just for the show.
Yes.
He loves baseball. Baseball's got a big tradition here in Toronto. Yeah, okay, obviously not as long as the Yankees and the Mets and everything else. But I mean, in Toronto, hey, we still got 2 World Series. So I mean, you know what? There's still a deep history of baseball here. My brother's grown up with baseball. We watch all the baseball. He bought a PS4 just for the show.
Yes.
This is a situation that has serious impact. Okay? This move is not just a big games in Game Pass. Like you could say like, okay, Battlefield 6 in Game Pass is a big deal. Right. But in terms of what it's done is that this move is even bigger because of what it represents. This situation represents is that it is a game that is synonymous with the Sony brand. And now you've got this thing on the Xbox system for next to nothing. Boom, I sent you a screenshot of the PlayStation. Remember that I sent that to you 2 days ago?
Yes.
I sent Boom a screenshot of the Sony PlayStation Store. It is $105 for the standard edition here in Canada for MLB The Show. It was $89.99 plus 15% tax, okay? because the healthcare thing. That's why our taxes are so high. But that's fine, whatever. It's $105 for the standard edition. If I need to say it again for everybody in the back, it's $105 for the standard edition. The Jackie Robinson edition is $160 goddamn dollars.
Wow.
That is an entire year of Game Pass.
Yes.
Yeah. Facts.
Done. Situation over.
To your point, Mag, you actually made another point that was fantastic, is that we also forget what you said about it being synonymous with Sony.
Yes.
Because it's the definitive baseball game, it's synonymous with the league. And now the other thing that we're forgetting, he calculated this to announce it on the opening week of baseball.
Exactly, baseball.
So now you go to your Trinitron, your Titantron, and you're at the stadium or whatever it is. That is free marketing, and now it's going to get attention to the Xbox brand, which is another calculated ass. He when he signed off, as Everborn said, and put that tweet, that was to let you know that was his move. That's to look you in the eye. I'm doing this for you.
Now, here's the thing.
Here's
the thing, though. Sony can't respond to this, and I'll tell you why. Because it's going to look bad. What they're going to do now that they've been painted into a corner, they didn't paint themselves in a corner. Right. They got painted in the corner, just like you said, Cog, by Phil himself. Right. Now they're like, your move, and they can't move. Now, here's the thing. If they make a move, this is psychological now. If they make a move, it's going to look reactionary. Right. And by being reactionary, it's going to look desperate. And then they're going to go, oh, I see what you did, Sony. You were going to charge me $105, but seeing that Xbox spanked you and put it in a Game Pass, now you're scared. And so now they can't back down. They have to sit in it. Now, okay? It's like a dirty diaper. They got to sit in it, and they got to just sit in it, and they can't do anything about it. One last thing I want to say here. Now, this is just like a thought process, okay? Two quick little things here. You said about all the sports games and Game Pass. Boom, what have we been preaching for God knows how long? The casuals, getting a hold of the casuals. What do the casuals do? I mentioned my brother's situation. My brother literally bought a PS4 for MLB The Show, okay? Yeah. And then what do you got now? You've got everything but Call of Duty in Game Pass. And who the hell says Call of Duty might not end up in there someday? I mean, look at these games. You've got, in my opinion, MLB The Show is the Forza of baseball games.
Yeah, it's not even close.
It is that level.
It's funny you say that, because if you think about it for a second, and again, this is complete speculation, folks. We're still on talking about the MLB The Show, but you might be onto something, because you say, what if Call of Duty? But here's the thing. I don't think Microsoft cares and wants Call of Duty. And you know why they don't want it this year? Because they went back to the 1950s. And people are already clamoring about how it's a disaster. It's a development disaster. They don't know what they're doing, blah, 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 whatever, right? Okay. Just imagine on the cusp of Battlefield coming back, going modern, and being in Game Pass day and day. Do you understand what that does for the industry as a whole, what that does for Game Pass? Right now, I would not be surprised if they're already at 25 million.
Easily.
But could you imagine by E3 they announced, we're over 30, we're over 35 million.
Look at how fast Disney exploded when they released good product.
Exactly. There you go.
Disney Plus was doing okay, but then all of a sudden when WandaVision hit, then when Falcon Winter Soldier, which is going on now, and then they announced all their shows. You see, remember that they had that thing where they showed all the shows that are coming, and then the big plan for the next couple of years.
She-Hulk, you got Moon Knight.
My God, it went
ridiculous.
To what? 30 plus. Oh, sorry. And Mandalorian. My God, what a travesty. I didn't even think of that. And Mandalorian. And look what happened. They just jumped to 100 million just like that.
Yes.
Now, this is one last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, is that this situation, because it is a Sony title, and we've all talked about this, okay, in one form or another, this is going to be the most interesting situation of the entire year, because this is a litmus test for what's going to come in the future.
Of course.
Okay, a litmus test for what's going to come in the future. This is what everybody's going to have their eyes on this situation, and they should, because this Well, actually, I'm telling you right now, it sounds so melodramatic, but I'm telling you, this situation, however it plays out of just MLB The Show, is actually going to reshape the future of this industry and how business is being done between companies and publishers. Mark my words.
Paradigm shift.
Absolutely 100%. Let's get Cybernox into the conversation. Cyber,
This
again, you've heard everyone, but you know what? You're going to have your own big opinion on this. This is, as someone that loves baseball, for you, how do you think a Sony player is looking at Sony right now saying, wait a second, if I have a PlayStation 5, and I want MLB The Show, a first-party game, I have to pay $75. But for that same $75, you get 5 months of Xbox Game Pass. No, PS, by the way, Octopath Travelers, Outriders, and MLB The Show, along with 400 other games are in there for that same price. That's insane. How do you think the Sony community is looking at this situation right now?
I tell you right now exactly what happened. Phil Spencer was listening to the takeover, and then with this one move, you know what he did? There's a line that goes, "You made it a hot line.
Woo!
I made it a hot song."
He went
Okay.
He went there.
You know why? Because everyone right now is talking about MLB The Show and Xbox Game Pass.
Xbox too strong
That's
for
it.
y'all.
It's over. Listen, all jokes
You don't
aside.
want it with home?
Phil Spencer said, "You made it a hot line. I'm gonna make it a hot song." And then he dropped the mic and he walked away. Like calculated move, genius move. And first party Sony game, day and date on Xbox Game Pass. It's just like, wow, you gotta give it up. All jokes aside, this was extremely tactical by Xbox.
This is a master move by Phil.
Master move. This was like, 4D chess. Let's go. Now sports game, a lot of people may say it, sometimes it's the niche, not a lot of people play. Maybe that's not what the hardcore wants. But I think I've said it on the show multiple times. Sometimes with some of these sports games, and I think Forte may touch on this a little bit, what makes them a lot of money is not just selling them. It's the microtransactions. It's the ultimate teams.
That's
it's
right.
This, it's that. And having that on game, I'll be quite honest with you guys. I'm not that into baseball. But I'm not gonna try MLB The Show. That's just not for me.
Right.
But like FIFA, I love FIFA. You know what I mean? So like I'll play FIFA. I know how much it goes on. I know how much time people invest on the ultimate team. How much there's the market. You can you could do so much. And I think, does MLB have a mode like that? I'm pretty sure it does.
Yes.
It's called Diamond Dynasty.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of like what Forte said. If you're already subscribed to Game Pass, right? Or if you have the option to play Game Pass,
right.
If you have a PS5 or PlayStation system and an Xbox, why wouldn't you play it on Game Pass? You're saving yourself some money, okay? You can invest that money however way you want into the game if you like, or you can invest on other games that you have. Right. And the icing is it's all crossplay. All crossplay. You're gonna be able to play with anybody you want. So this was a genius move, man. It's just I was away last week, so I was kind of off social media. But when I saw this move, I was just like, no, wait, no.
Were you laughing to yourself as you saw it?
I'm laughing. I thought I was like, I was like, what day is this? April. Wait, April.
To make sure it was real. Like
I
it
had
wasn't.
to make sure.
And it's funny how Phil waited until the next day so people would not get it confused.
Man,
sure did.
And kind of what Mag mentioned as well, Sony can do anything about it because they don't want to seem petty. They don't want to seem like they weren't part of the deal. They want to seem like they were cooperating, but at the end of the day, I go back to the beginning. Calculated, Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius.
Oh yeah, don't forget the Aurelius.
Can't forget it.
You know what? At
Shout out
this
to
point,
King.
I think he's going to get a fifth name.
Oh
Like
my God.
Assassin.
I'm just waiting for tomorrow.
Crazy.
We have to put like Assassin in there.
And that's kind of like everybody's
Tomorrow.
been mentioning. That's why I said that line, because MLB The Show was always synonymous with Sony and PlayStation. Now it's being synonymous with Xbox Game Pass. And that's
Now, there's one thing I do want to say that you and Mag talked about Sony can't do anything. Now, ultimately, they're screwed either way, but they man, listen, just like Xbox went back on that whole, we gonna charge you double for Xbox Live and we gonna roll that conversation backwards. Sony need to roll this conversation in the direction to do something for their fans. You know, I mean, it sounds good to say like, oh, you got to sit there and sit in it. And I understand that whole thought process, but let's be for real. On the other side, there's a bunch of gamers on the other side this is just terrible.
Yeah.
Like it's just terrible optically. It's like your developers are making this game. You need to do something for those people. We're not saying throw it in Game Pass. We're not saying hey, have to throw it in PS Plus or something like that. But at least you could at least match the discount that people are going to get inside the Game Pass. You know, make the game 20% cheaper for your people that are in the PS that are in PS Plus. It's something like that. I think that could go a long way with actually helping them, because as of right now, there is nothing good for this if you're buying it. Unless you're a person that only has a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 4, there is nothing good that came from this move with Xbox doing this, because you're not getting the inferior version of the game, but you're paying more money for a game that people can get on a competing platform for less money.
Yeah.
Forte, wasn't you that said? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Wasn't you that said that it was they only sold about 1 million to 2 million copies a year?
Yeah, it's about 2 million per year. Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure MLB probably looked at that as well and said, why are we?
Oh, that's the reason they made the
This is the number one baseball game.
Yeah.
And it's only selling, and they're looking at everyone else.
Yeah, they're looking at the Maddens and all that.
Double digits every year, you know, and they're probably looking like, what's going on? And now they're going to see the user engagements, probably because the Game Pass on the Xbox side, and they're going to see that as a win. So what's that going to translate to next year? You could probably see, obviously it's all going to depend on the numbers and things like that, but you can probably, you know, see in the future the MLB will probably continue to be one of those games that be included in Game Pass. I've often said, guys, and I think Phil alluded to this on one of the interviews, a lot of people probably think they pay a lot of money for these titles, and I'm like, sure, there's a deal there, and they probably pay some money, but a lot of the money too, there's so much stuff that can go behind the scenes. They could probably give them a percentage of how much they take off, or you know, like if they're taking 30%, okay, let's make a deal. We'll only take 10 per unit sold, X, Y, and Z per download, you know, per microtransactions, because that's where all the money is made. There's so many deals to be made, and this is a big W.
Yeah, this definitely a big W. Clowns, before I get to your brother, because we're past the 2-hour mark, but we had to go long. I got Phil's new name, Cog.
What we doing?
Let's go.
You ready? Here we go. We live on Primetime Gaming. Phil, Dominus, Maximus, Aurelius, Stone Cold. Spencer.
Stone Cold. I think King will approve of that.
I think King will approve that. I want a t-shirt. Clowns, listen, I saved you for last for a couple of reasons. One, you know Phil. You had a chance to talk to him. You know, he's been on your Xbox Live. You guys to play games together. We know Phil's a gamer. We know Phil's a nice guy. He handshakes with everyone. He loves this community. Talks about it all the time. But this was a power broker move. This was letting people know you are here and you are not messing around. And this generation has been off and running. And if you think about it, really for Xbox started on the Game Awards 2019 when Phil Spencer got up on that stage and showed the Series X and Hellblade, and it has been all Phil Spencer and Team Xbox since. This move, I don't know how much bigger they can get, and it's going to get bigger from what we understand, but this was a power move. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you think Sony can even respond?
Well, you know what? First of all, if Sony was smart, they would just eat this one and put it on PS Now or something. But they're not going to do that because they need the money. Whereas Microsoft at this point, and man, they played a really slick game of baseball here, no pun intended, but they went straight to the MLB, cutting out Sony directly just to get this on Game Pass. This tells you a couple of things about Phil. One, he's not kidding around. He's not playing around. He is 100% in on Xbox Game Pass, and so is Satya Nadella. I mean, the whole Xbox board, the whole Microsoft board, all in on Game Pass. Yes. All those that talk bad about it all these years. I mean, Phil had this planned, and you know what? I'm going to say this. He did it very quietly. He showed no signs of aggression, and he just came out of nowhere, and he was like, you know what, guys? We're going to get a Sony game on Game Pass, whether they like it or not. And maybe one day we'll get Game Pass on PlayStation. But, in my mind, the way to think about this move, he did it like a true godfather. He used to be called the X-Father for a reason, right? He is the nicest guy in the neighborhood. Takes care of everything that he needs to take care of. Very quiet, doesn't boast, doesn't brag, doesn't show off, doesn't go out there on stage, with a big robusto just to brag. He's a very calm, cool, and collective guy. And he sat at that table, at that round table meeting, and he said, all right, guys, get all the Xbox family together. We're going to talk about our plan. We're going to move here. We're going to make moves here. Hey, Aaron, I need you to get this done over here. And we're not going to talk about it. I want no leaks. Shut that door. Shut every form of communication. None of this gets out of here. And we're going to make these moves.
Clowns, don't you know bad boys move in silence and violence? Come on, baby.
And he made these moves. And here was Sony all these years bragging, oh, we got the most powerful console. Oh, only gamers play in 1080p. All this crap, all this talk. Well, they were throwing money around that they really didn't have to waste, right? They kept spending money here, wasting money there, throwing this over here. If they still had plenty of money left, they probably would have kept the Japanese studios open, right? I mean, they did this restructuring for a reason, because they want to move in on Xbox's territory because they need that money. They need that money. Xbox, Microsoft, man, that's like a small portion of interest every month for Microsoft.
It's crazy. They just signed a $21 billion deal with the U.S. government for Microsoft, not Xbox, right?
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you that they are like, I think it's Cog that said it, that they're willing to, they're looking so far in the future that they're willing to take a loss up front to make the back end money. And they're doing that right now with Game Pass.
Exactly.
Yeah, and exactly. And all this time, everybody was sitting there making fun of Microsoft, right? Everybody on Twitter was saying, oh, Game Pass is a losing battle. Oh, it's old games in Game Pass. Nobody wants to play old games. Yep. Oh, nobody likes backwards compatibility. Oh, EA games are garbage. All this crap, right? All of it's in Game Pass. We pay how much per month? Like $15?
$15,
and we get all of this plus a new MLB game plus Outriders. Imagine if you had to buy these two games together. That's like more than like a couple months of Game Pass. Microsoft, Xbox is killing it, man. And then the stuff in Game Pass, if you buy that, you even get a discount on top of that.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me about that. And I want to see the conversions on DLC. I bet you Game Pass games sell more DLC because people are playing the games for one low monthly rental price, if you look at it that way. And they got this extra money to buy that DLC. And they might beat that game in a few months of Game Pass. And they're probably like, glad I never bought the game, but man, this DLC was fun. I paid $5 for this DLC, got a percentage off. I can't lose. And Sony's over there trying to convince you need to drop $70 on a brand new game then you need to drop money on the DLC, drop money on these season passes, hardly with any discounts, or sometimes PS Plus, right?
God dang, stop trying to take all their money, clowns.
I know, but they're just losing it. It's like the Beagle Boys stole all their money, and Sony doesn't know what to do. They're just panicking. They're starting to panic. I mean, they haven't panicked yet, but they're going to be panicking very soon because Game Pass is going to be the strongest service that Xbox has ever launched. And, we haven't even seen the impact yet on markets where people play on cell phones. We haven't even seen the official launch in all those markets. I think when 5G starts getting stronger everywhere else, or stronger 4G LTE, I think we're going to start seeing more Game Pass in a lot of other places. And, I want to say something too, because my friend Flamish that he lives in Belgium, and everybody in that part of Belgium loves PlayStation, right? Everybody there loves PlayStation because after the 360 era, they didn't like the DRM stuff. They didn't like all this other stuff with Don Matrick, the way he launched the Xbox. And then their friends started buying PlayStation. So what do? They buy PlayStations. But one of Flamish's friends said to me and said to Flamish, he said, you know what? He's like, I got a PlayStation. And I don't like the fact that I got to pay $70. And in Belgium, the tax is higher. The prices are higher in Europe, right? And he's like, I see EA's going to Game Pass. And he said to me, that makes me think that other companies are going to start making deals with Xbox to get in Game Pass. He's like, what if Ubisoft gets in there? What if so-and-so gets in there? Then I only have to pay one monthly fee, and I don't have to worry about all these ridiculous taxes on top of the games that I have to buy on PlayStation. He says it's just not worth it for me right now to really invest on the PlayStation ecosystem if Xbox is going to offer me all of this for this price with, so much potential.
Value, brother. And I want to jump in because you said something that we forgot to talk about, which is important, which is we are forgetting that part of this deal is allowing MLB The Show to be streamed on Android and xCloud devices. Right. That is a huge deal because, again, long game, right? The long game is Game Pass. The long game is xCloud. We already know that, like Clowns is saying, and there's markets also that will not buy a console, right? So now you open this up to markets who may utilize something like on the TV, on these mobile devices. We already know they plan on going to iOS as well at some point. So again, that's also part of this long play to get Game Pass into ecosystems that might not necessarily buy a console first. That is a huge deal that is very understated, that MLB The Show will be streamable. Like, that's a big deal. xCloud is part of the long play. There's a lot of ramifications for this, man. I totally agree with what you're saying, Clowns. You were on fire with that one.
And there's one more point that I need to make before we get off here, Boom, is the fact that, like Lord Cognito alluded to, what Mag alluded to, is that companies think years in advance, right? So we have no idea how many deals they have with futuristic TVs or brands of TVs. We know Samsung for sure, but we don't know all the other TVs out there. They're going to have smart software that might be 4K later editions or 8K coming up, right? But if the Game Pass app is on that TV alone, okay, if it's just on there by itself and there's a big sign that says $1 for 30 days, $15.99 there a month after, and you get to play all of this in the cloud, including some older 360 games, tell me, somebody who is maybe in college that doesn't have any consoles, or somebody in a low-income neighborhood that doesn't have consoles, or in a third world country that has TVs but not a lot of consoles, they might be like, wow, I can play all this Xbox stuff on my TV? Think about it. Think about the branding and the future-proof method that Phil Dominus, Maximus Aurelius Stone Cold Killer did for everybody.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, folks. This has been one hell of a show. We're at 50. We're almost 20 minutes past the hour. It's been a long show. I'm going to try and catch up with some of these super chats, folks. Listen, I cannot thank you enough for the generosity. It's been so many that I literally am probably going to miss some, and I want to apologize for that because obviously we got to get everyone out of here. We had one come in from Joe 90 Superstar. Didn't leave a message. Left a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Joe. Darby02 Gaming drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, what happens when Marvel sees how MLB does on Game Pass? Spider-Man goes multi-plat, ends of Sony exclusives. You know what? If you ever see an Insomniac Sony game, Spider-Man game on Xbox, I'm taking my bull and I'm going home. I'm telling you that right now. Gerald Mack drops another generous $5 super chat and says, for developers and for publishers, Game Pass allows them to get a slick backdoor Fortnite free, but not free money. Yeah, this ideology about how these games are for free and they're not making money. Let me tell you something. I spoke with a developer that told me straight up, boom, there is a waiting list to get into Xbox Game Pass. Do you understand that? There is a waiting list.
That's where it's at now.
Get in it because people are seeing how much money they're making and how much their games are being played on and off of Game Pass. It's a big deal, folks. DeAndre Banks drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says Microsoft is finally using the resources they have for Xbox. Oh, sorry about that, DeAndre. Hold on a sec. The chat is this is really
moving.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most active chats I think I've ever had. It's
a good problem to have, brother. It's a good night.
Yeah. Let's see. Where are you? Here it says Sony can't compete with Game Pass. No, they can't. They just can't. A $20 super chat comes in from the friendly neighborhood Blue Shell. Thank you so much for being here, brother. But thank you for the generosity. Because every day the MLB The Show is not free with PSN is another slap that a Sony diehard is taking to the face. Sony should start worrying when JRPGs start seeing the money earned with Game Pass and putting their games there. You're going to see that. You're absolutely right. Smitty Smith bringing us back to church once again with a $5 super chat. Says Phil Spencer just set up the kill box. Execute order 66.
I'm done. I'm done with you.
Yeah, that's funny, dude. That's actually really good one. Oh man, hold on a sec. Nightwolf, I know that you dropped several in here, brother. Let me just find yours over here. Holy matrimony. This is unbelievable. Nightwolf 3186, a very generous friend of the show. He drops another $5 super chat. Says, damn, Boom couldn't even make it through half of my super chat before answering it. You are hilarious, bro. Well, thank you so much, dude. CYV Studios drops a $5 super chat and says Xbox doesn't need to worry about rushing a game out anymore. That's a great point. They just need to look at what third party is coming out next year and try and get it into Game Pass. You got to remember, that has become the new exclusive. See, Sony has done some dirty stuff, locking games up for 2 years, like they did that new Square game. But Microsoft is like, yeah, we don't care if a game comes out all at the same time, but it's in Game Pass for our subscribers. Take that, and that's where Elemental P, good friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 chat. This one is for Cognito. Sing it. Nights like this, I wish raindrops would fall.
5 heartbeats.
Jimbo Jangles drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says Ryan out AAA games with blot out the sun, Spencer. Then we game in the shade. DeAndre Banks drops an additional $2 super chat and says this: Phil told MLB with a bag in his hand, "What's up?" People are messy, bro. I love it. This chat is hilarious. Thank you so much for that, brother. Dafikin89 drops a very generous additional $5 which is Outriders, the show, and potentially Battlefield 6 success on Xbox Game Pass can unleash a wave of big AAA games launching day and date on Xbox every year. You're just seeing the start of it. Gotham Guy, good friend of the show, he drops at a $10 super chat and says, great show, Boom and friends. You guys are on fire tonight, Mag. Your metaphors are literally have me in stitches. Hope you had a great Easter. Spent mine with the fam. Well, thank you so much, Gotham Guy, and thanks for being here, brother. We also had The Flame drop a $2 super chat and says, Phil, Dominus, Maximus Aurelius, Augustus Spencer. I love it.
Justice,
And
huh?
we have Jigga J drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says Phil Spencer checked into oh my god. Phil Spencer checked into room 316 in the store in the Sony hotel and proceeded to burn them some bitches to the ground. I can't with that. Midway 7 months that drops a $5 super chat. Says just got home from the gym. Great panel assembled tonight. Hit the like button. Well, thank you, Midway, for checking out. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $20 super chat. Says great show and awesome panel. All we need was Gaz to bring the sauce and King to bring the smoke.
He's gonna be ready tomorrow.
Well, listen, folks. Listen again. Thank you so much for being generous. I mean, honestly, it's overwhelming, to be honest. I didn't even know. Like, I'm a little shaky over it because, like I said, I don't do this for the money. I do this for the love of the game. I do this for the love of this community, and the amount of generosity that has been shown has been crazy. Also, I want to thank the over 530 people we had here on tonight's show. That is a raging success. Everyone seemed to have a good time. This panel was completely on fire. We got obviously Forte to come back. We got Cognito come back. Everborn Saga was here. Listen, let's get to the outros. And of course, I'm going to start with Cognito. Cog, I want you to tell people not only about the Iron Lord podcast, and if you don't know about the Iron Lord podcast, shame on you. I want you to talk about lordsofgaming.net. That's a big site for you guys. And also, you're doing your regular Sunday show tomorrow at 5 p.m. Talk about it.
First of all, thank you, Boom, for the invite, man. Man, it feels good to be back. I know I felt like we haven't podcasted in a while.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, you know what I mean? So just to be back in here, the panel, you got a fantastic panel, man. Mad Clowns, see Forte, the homie, pulling up, and of course, Everborn and Cybernox with the whole references got me laughing. But look, man, lordsofgaming.net, man, it's truly an extension of IOP. The support has been tremendous. Love the team that we have, a bunch of great writers. And when you guys share the article, it really means a lot to us to get the coverage and cover all these consoles and systems. So salute to that. And then obviously IOP, you know, that's the home team. And, you know, every Sunday's the Lord's Day, except this past week. But yeah, check us out, man. We'll be there tomorrow, 5 p.m. We'll have Colin Moriarty in the building. We're actually going to talk about one of your topics that, you know, we were getting into as far as the discontinuation of the store.
Colin's a good dude, man. Yeah. I've been a fan of his work since his days at IGN. Love he's very straightforward. And look, at the end of the day, look, Iron Lords, we're gonna have guests. Some people, you know, already, I'm not supporting. Okay, that's cool. Maybe we'll catch you the next one. But at the end of the day, it's about gaming, uniting gamers, bringing us together. And yeah, we'll talk about that whole thing because he's a Vita developer himself. So this will hit home. So definitely check that out. That'll be tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Check us out there. And then it's a double feature week. So we'll also have a Sunday IOP. I'm not going to give away that one just yet, but tune in on Sunday. We'll definitely have another guest because we missed this last week. But yeah, man, that's it. And of course, if you like Destiny and Outriders, which has been added to the list, yeah, check out. What a great game! What a great game! Please give this game a shot. I'll say this: it's not perfect. But I will tell you, you will have a lot of fun, especially when you play with friends. This game excels on both sides of the coin, and it's hard to do that. It excels as a single player game, which you saw me playing, and it also excels and even goes higher when you have buddies.
When you play friends,
it's so good, man. And in Game Pass, day and day, it's just crazy.
It's great, man. Like I said, if you're loving that, if you love looter shooters, check us out on The Last Word. That's on Fridays with my brother Bontis. He is an official ambassador of Outriders, so he's got a lot of builds. Check out his videos. He's got a lot of tips for every class. The man is like world tier resilient. He's doing things solo. I mean, he's a beast. So check him out. Check us out, and that's it. And of course, me, Lord Cognito, on Twitter. And your great show. Chat was on fire. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Boom, for the invite.
Oh, anytime, brother, and definitely got to get me on to IOP and one of these upcoming Sundays for sure. But Gaming Forte, welcome back to the program, dude. First of all, it's been too long, but I got to tell you, man, what you guys have been doing, and I say guys, talk about you and Slow-Mo on DPS, it cannot be ignored. You guys have really stepped up your game. Your videos have been nothing short of amazing. Yes. Slow-Mo completely knocking it out of the park. Please tell everyone about DPS. Tell everyone about your YouTube channel, and also talk about where people can reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media.
Oh yeah, man. Boom. It's been too long. It's been about a month and a half, almost 2 months. And I always listen to the show when I'm at work, because usually when y'all going live, I'm just finishing up and getting ready to close up the store. But always paying attention to where I come from, man. This was always a great place. We built it. I mean, you built it. I was just here to help, along the way. And it was, just seeing the growth and everything that's going on with you and the channel and all the hard work you put into it. I'm just happy to see the success still really showing itself. And that's all that really truly matters to me. But everybody on this panel, you know how I feel about you guys, Clowns, Mac, Cyber, Tempest, everybody that's here, man. You guys are all amazing and keep doing the hard work that you guys been doing. But outside of that, it's Gaming Forte everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation. DPS podcast every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Woo. Last week was on Slow Mo's channel. This week it will be on my channel. Shout out to the homie Slow Mo, lived up to his promise.
Yeah,
I truly hope you guys enjoyed that. I
just want you to know that he hit 1,000 on Breakfast with Boom. I call for the community to help me out and get this man over 1,000. They responded, and you got 2 hours of bug snacks.
Oh, we actually got 3.5. We got 3.5 because I was egging him on. I was at work on lunch when he decided to do the stream. So I was like, yo, just let me know when you stream and I'm gonna go on lunch so I can sit there and be in Discord with you. So we was in there just talking. He was coming up to the last, hour of the stream. I'm like, that's when I started tweeting on Twitter. It's like, yo, I said, what did it take to get another hour out of you? He said 100 likes on the channel. We only had like 30 something people watching, so he didn't think it was gonna happen. I said, okay, let your boy Forte go to Twitter, start tweeting out what we need, and then next we hit 100.
I love it.
We hit 100 likes on there, so he had to do another hour. That took it to 2.5 hours. Yes. Then 5 minutes, like about 10 minutes before the stream was over, and he was ready to delete the game and everything. He talking mad mess. He's like, I can't wait for this game to be over with. I said, Slow-Mo, what would it take for you to do another hour? He was like, nothing. I said, Slow-Mo, there's something. He was like, well, he said $100. If someone donates $100 to me, I'll stream another hour. And shout out to my boy Devin Nero. Shout out to him. He dropped the $100 bag with 2 minutes on the clock.
Wow.
Slow-Mo was like, God dang. So he did 30 minutes that day and gave another hour and a half to the community the next day. And
that is
classic. That's the type of stuff I like in this community, supporting each other. It just comes down to everybody, when it comes to content creation, we all try to help each other as much as possible. But I've never seen nobody put as much work into anything that they do like Slow-Mo, and everybody puts their own level of work and hours into this thing, and nobody should be ashamed of what they do, because if you love it, that's all that matters. And I will always talk about that man before I talk about myself, because that's my co-host. That's my best friend, and that's everything. He keeps me grounded. I keep him grounded, and DPS would not be the same without him. And I know it won't be the same without me. And Boom, I truly appreciate you helping him get over that milestone. That was another reason I wanted to come, because I know I looked up and I said, when did he hit 1,000? And then he told me the story, and I was like, yo, I gotta let Boom's the man. So when he called out the troops come out and rally. So shout out to you, and I truly appreciate you. And I'm definitely going to be making more appearances and stuff on here. So I really do miss being on here with you guys.
Well, we definitely miss you, brother, and thank you so much for being here as always. Next up, let's get Everborn Saga. Thank you so much for being here, Everborn. Glad you could be here. Of course, you brought the spice or the sauce. If you are a fan of Gaz's work, he brings the sauce. You brought it, definitely, for sure. Tell everyone about the Everborn Saga, and where can people check out your incredible work, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yes. Well, first of all, I had to channel my inner king tonight. So shout out to King David. But Everborn Saga every place, right? That is Facebook, that's Twitter, that's Instagram, that is PlayStation Network, Steam, and obviously on Xbox. And also, more importantly, everbornsaga.com. That is where you can get yourself ingrained into the Everborn Saga. Right now, you can get Prince of Arcadia chapters 1 through 3. The Kickstarter was a massive success, and Ariel's Adventure, our second series, will be going out to everybody very shortly. And after we get everyone their books, you'll be able, if you missed the Kickstarter, that's okay. You'll be able to get the book on everbornsaga.com after all of the Kickstarter backers get theirs. So check out everbornsaga.com. Check out Everborn Saga on Twitter, and send me, a friend request on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network or Steam. And thanks, everybody. This was an amazing panel. Forte, always happy to share the podcasting air with you. Cog, it's always a pleasure. BreeX, stand up. Shout out to Cyber for the J line. I've been meaning to pull that out. He said he rated a hot line. He made it a hot song.
Take over.
I love it. I love
man.
it.
But listen,
Hey man, Phil was listening to it. It wasn't me. You know what I mean?
Listen, it's not even over. What's gonna happen in May? So we'll see what's happening. Very, very interesting times. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. That's all I got for tonight, folks.
Nice. Very, very nice, brother. Middle-aged gamer guy. Why don't you tell everyone about where they can reach out to you, listen to the loudest man in Canada, and more importantly, what other shows are you on?
Yes, well, guys, it was a fantastic show. It was an epic show. This was a Snyder cut for sure. Oh my God. Anyhow, guys, it was wonderful. As always, chat, you guys are always supportive and amazing. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at the Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end. Hit me up anytime you want. I'll talk to you. No problem. You want to follow me on the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. My name is all one word, all capitals, because I don't know how to be quiet. I am the Mag. Yes, you can find me there Monday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me right here with Mr. Boomstick XL and friends on Primetime Gaming. And of course, tomorrow night, lock up your children, lock up your women, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday with Noof Nukem and Titan Drago on Gaming After Dark. And guys, once again, I can't wait for next week. I'm already excited. And yes, and I just want to throw my hat in the ring one quick time here of Phil, Dominus, Maximus, Aurelius, Victus, Imperium. That is a Roman term.
Victus
for
Imperium. Oh, I like that.
Victus Imperium means almighty in the Roman Empire, and I am Roman, of course.
I like that. I think yours better. Victus Imperium.
Victus Imperium.
It's 6 names now.
Pass the message along. King, I know you're listening. Anyhow, guys, have a great night.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. And Cybernox, tell everyone about your YouTube channel, where they could check out Xbox, the Xbox Game Pass you got going on, the Xbox Game Pass Club, which is pretty dope. And also, where can people reach out to you on social media?
I appreciate that. It was an amazing show. Glad I was here for it today. Cybernox everywhere, guys. You already know the drill. Xbox Game Pass Club. If you want to check out my other channel, I'll be picking the next game on Wednesday. So just go ahead and make sure you hit that subscribe button on Xbox Game Pass Club. That's where we pick a game out of random, and then we try, we'll try that game, and then we'll discuss that game every week, just like a book club. But yeah, it was an amazing show. Boom, love being here. Can't wait for next week. And I'm trying to hold back because I'm laughing at what Max said. Lock up your women.
No, they was the same. Come on, man. Safe out here.
You know what happens Tuesday nights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sony needs to lock up the exclusives. Phil's
got a skeleton key now.
I'm trying to gather my thoughts here, and I'm laughing, trying to hold myself from bursting.
Thanks so much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate. Yeah, and definitely check out the Xbox Game Pass Club. I think that's something unique. It's cool, and not many people doing it. Yeah, definitely check that out. And last but not least, Clowns, tell everyone about what you've been doing with 4 Guys with Quarters, and where can people reach out and talk to you on social media?
Awesome. Well, everybody can find me at Italian Clowns on social media or 4GWQ Podcast on social media. 4 Guys with Quarters on YouTube. We recently had an interview with Aaron Kaufman from Square Enix. He gave us a few codes for Xbox and PlayStation to give away. So we'll be doing that. He also did mention on the interview, if you want to go listen to it, that Game Pass is very beneficial to Square Enix and Microsoft and Xbox. So, I mean, obviously, it's a program. It's working, you know?
I thought it was bad for
and so The next interview coming up is Steve Pugh from Marvel Comics.
Nice.
We have him coming up. Another one that I already did pre-record is Tara Platt, who is a AAA voice actor. She's been in over probably 200 credits, but very known for Naruto, God of War, Last of Us Part 2,
Nice.
a lot of big stuff. And then we actually we may have some surprises coming up from interviews from within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So
Nice.
stay tuned for that.
Nice, brother. Well, listen, you're doing some great work over there. Since I tell you, you put 4 guys on your back, and you've really been making that brand sing, dude. You've been some of the interviews just been nothing. I mean, for crying out loud, he interviewed the Master Chief. Yeah. I mean, Steve Downs. Come on. I mean, honestly, that's a big deal. So thanks so much for being here, clowns. Love that you're here each and every week. But folks, listen, this has been a great show. We're closing in on 2 hours and 40 minutes. Might be the longest one of the year. Thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming and hanging out. And I'll close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And I think now, more than ever, it's super important. He used to say this: son, treat others how you want to be treated. Also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.